You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens. And we're back for another episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. Well, we're in the middle of August, what people would call peak summer. And definitely am feeling, revived and refreshed as you all begin another week. And of course, yours truly back on, making it in time to record the podcast. My commitment, let me give myself a pat on the back because I have been definitely committed to making sure that I give this episode to you all every week. Shout out to the advertisers. But no, I've really am excited every time I get to do the podcast because it's always a week, and I look at it like a diary entry, almost like, Moesha, for those who are old enough, mostly everyone who listens to this show knows of and about Moesha, starring Brandy Norwood, iconic show. But, she does that, she always does this like essay diary entry before she starts the show, and she concludes the show with that energy. So it feels like that sometimes. But it's been a great weekend. It was a great weekend. I was at Martha's Vineyard, as you all saw, over there hanging out with the elites. But it was fun. I have so much to say about it, and I'm going to share it because I've been holding and reserving my thoughts. So we'll go to the petty, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay, so brief stuff before I get into Martha's Vineyard as the trip itself. Well, overall, it was good. I'm definitely going to go back again, for sure. Me and Mr. Johnson enjoyed ourselves. It was a lovely, romantic time with the coastal elites and the snobs and the bougie blacks. It was cute, but it was a good time. Overall, it was a good time. What I will say is, it was a good time because I made it a great time. That will be important as I get on with what I think about the whole entire trip. Now, for folks that's going to Martha's Vineyard, who's going to the Vineyard, great, wonderful, cool. But for people who have not, like myself and others who've heard the legend, the myth, all that, I am here to tell you, okay? Because I was an op. I was on elite watch. I was looking at everything that was going on and everything and all the things. So I'll get into it. First and foremost, one of my biggest pet peeves about traveling, and I don't know why Martha's Vineyard became that thing, but I have a thought about it, and I'm going to be a little frank. One of my biggest pet peeves is when you're traveling and people bombard you with giving you a bunch of options. Now, I know that people's intentions are not bad at doing that, but I always find it quite interesting or annoying, actually, that when you're traveling, people just bombard you with a bunch of recommendations and things, or try to set up things to meet you and see you when that was on the agenda. I quite frankly find it just tacky. Here's the thing. I know people's intentions are whatever, good and all that. But imagine this. Imagine that you have made time and you've invested money, you've planned to have a trip, and you have a beautiful itinerary, and you've made sure you made your dates, you made sure you did your research, and you made sure that you planned your stuff. And you made sure you managed everything that you was going to do. And a bunch of people are just assuming, I don't know, go here, go there, try this, you must try this, you must have that. And you're looking at me like, don't y'all know I'm that bitch? Don't y'all already know that I probably already know? Don't you know I already did that research? Do you think that I'm just going to be hopscotching to go see your cousin because your cousin's over there? And no. And I don't know. I think this happens to a lot of people because I don't do that to people. If you go on a trip, unless you ask me, I will tell you. So there are people that come to Philly and be like, yo, Ernest, I'm in Philly. What's the hottest spots? I tell you all now to go to Eater Philly. Don't go to Eater Philly. Don't ask me. I'm not a tour agent or whatever. Now, if you're my best friend and if you're my best friend because you've gone to my birthday party. If you haven't gone to my birthday party, we're probably not best friends, but we're cool. But I say all this to say that if you ask me for restaurant recommendations, I am not that person. Go to Eater Philly, and whatever you look up, I promise you it's good because it's curated by me as the editor. So when people say, Ernest, where should I go to brunch? There is a brunch list of 15 essential best brunch places to go to in Philly. Go there. And if you don't agree with me, then you already know where to go for brunch. So go there. But I'm being more mindful. As I get older, I just begin to recognize the importance of establishing boundaries. When I'm traveling and going somewhere, I already know where to go because I talk to the locals, the people that live there. When I went to New Orleans, I didn't even know anyone to tell me where to go in New Orleans. I already knew. I already got my shit booked. Who goes out on weekend trips for days without an itinerary? If that is you, God bless you. But over here, the girl is booked and busy. She's got activities. She knows where she's going. She knows who she's going to meet. Unless it's a bag or an opportunity on some serious hype. I'll give you an example. Somebody, I'm not going to name who that person is, but to the person, it was two people, and you know who you are, that told me, oh, Bill Whitaker is near you. I know that house, and Bill Whitaker is over there, and I'm going to, you know who you are. Thank you for that. That's a good look. But if you're just simply being like, you got to try the fudge over in Oak Bluffs, sometimes I wonder if it's just that people want people to know that they go to these things, and so it's just almost like a weird, like, cordial flex. It's always weird. I don't know. People are so weird. I just think if people are traveling, trust me, they know. And if they don't know, they'll ask. And if I need to know something, I'll ask. But that was just, I don't know, for whatever reason, I travel all over the country. I go to my book tour, I go everywhere, and I don't normally get a crazy amount of people that feel like they want to be a tourist. But for whatever reason, Martha's Vineyard got y'all acting real interesting. Real interesting. And I just was like, I don't know. If people are on vacation, let them be on vacation. I'll give you an example. I'll talk about this late at the end of the podcast, but I'll be out over the weekend, this weekend. I don't need your recommendations. I promise you. It's all on the list. Everything is getting checked off the bucket. Just want to put that out there. Because some folks was just doing the most. I was like, I'm happy you're watching, but I'm also like, So, that being said, so I want to put that there. Want to also add before I get into the nitty gritty of the island and all that comes with it. I know I keep saying this, but I want to emphasize this. TSA pre-check, y'all get it. Get it. Get it. If you don't get TSA pre-check and you're trying to travel in this world, I don't know what to tell you. I don't. The days of delays, 2-hour flights, all the bingo, it's time to be an adult. It's time to go ahead and drop that $90 and guess what? You get it for 5 years. Pre-check is a 5-year situation. Get pre-check. I just want to say that because, woo. And also, if you can, now this is a side tip, if you can afford it, get nonstop flights. Don't do connector flights unless you have to. I just want to put that out there. The stories, the horror stories I heard from people trying to get to Martha's Vineyard and leave Martha's Vineyard was crazy. Fortunately for Mr. Johnson and myself, we had a delay at the end, but that was due to weather. But it wasn't an extreme delay. We didn't get our flight canceled. It was a blessing. It worked out. Other people, not so much, because they were trying to do a lot of weird things. Stop playing games with these airlines, people. It is time. If you are a consistent traveler, and I consider that someone who travels more than 3 times in a year, you need to make the proper investments to make sure that your experience is the best as possible. That's just what I say. I hear all these horror stories of folks that say, oh, I couldn't make it to the gate, or the line was super packed and I missed my flight. And it's like, if you had pre-check, that would have not happened. I'm just telling you all that people want to go back outside at a higher level. These concerts, these festivals, the beach, I don't know. Everybody is traveling a lot, and you just should do that. I'm just putting that out there. That's just a tip for me, because here's the fun story. Well, I don't want to tell it now. I'll tell it while I tell it, but there's a real cool reason why I have an answer to that and why I'm saying this. All right, so other things before I get to it. Yeah, I think that was the most part. Over obnoxious recommendations. That just was just so much. Crazy recommendations, and pre-check. All right, so let's get to the good, the bad, the ugly. Okay, let's get to the good. So the good thing was that it's an island. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. I had some of the best seafood I ever had in my life. It's for those who don't know much about Martha's Vineyard. So Martha's Vineyard is an island that is in Massachusetts. To be honest, it's split in two sides. There's Oak Bluffs, where the black people reside, and then there's Eggerstown, which rich people reside. Emphasis that rich people is no conflation to black, but just that it's where the other folks stay. And it's also where the powerful stay, which includes the Obamas and all the other folks. They all stay in Eggerstown. These areas are not far from each other. They're just one side is here, one side is there. It's like the West Coast, East Coast war. So to be very clear, wealth is all over this damn fucking island. But Eggerstown is where the coastal elite, like the presidents and CEOs, stay. And Oak Bluffs is where wealthy, upper middle class black people often stay and reside. There's a lot of rich black history over there. There's a beach called the Inkwell, which is a historic black beach that is known. It's one of four historical black areas across the country. So you got Sag Harbor, that's around New York. You have Idlewild in Michigan. You have the other one, Gully Geechee Islands in South Carolina. And you have Martha's Vineyard. These are four areas that are fun. And honestly, I think I would like to visit all four of them. Now that I've done Martha's Vineyard, I think I now want to try, specifically Oak Bluffs, but I want to now go to Idlewild. I want to see what's going on in Sag Harbor and Gullah Geechee Island or whatnot that's over there in South Carolina. These are very historical, rich American landmarks, but black, historical landmarks. I am interested in exploring that more, but to Martha's Vineyard. So Martha's Vineyard has a rich black history. Lots of people have gone here, and this was a place of refuge for various communities, including the I believe the blind or the deaf community. One of them, there's a history there too. But there's a lot there. So there's lots of property and land and stories and traditions and all those things. But in recent history, it's become a hot, destination spot for a lot of wealthy to do people. Now, Martha's Vineyard, white folks love it too. Let's be clear. White people love it. They like to go there and then they go to Nantucket. It's not too far. So they like to go there. And of course, the Hamptons is like the white Oak Bluffs of it all. Like the Hamptons is on the other side, and that's another area. But the Hamptons, Martha's Vineyard, all nice places. But Martha's have a historical black side to it. So a lot of upper middle class, affluent black folks go there in the summer. And August is a hot spot for it because August is like when the blacks come. So it's like a whole month of black people that go. There's the African American Film Festival, the Essence events. The former president, Barack Obama, he goes there. Of all of them go there. All of the, top folks, Spike Lee goes. All of your favorite, I can imagine that, someone like, I'm seeing her face. Like, clearly, anyone who went to Howard and graduated from Howard in the 90s with money, all of those type of people go there to the Vineyard. Lynn Whitfield, she plays the evil black elite woman in all the Tyler Perry movies. She definitely goes out to the Vineyard and probably drinks chilled white wine as she, looks out on the yacht. And then there's also, people like Felicia Rashad and those folks. Like these are this is the land. And I love it, right? Because here's the fun thing. It's a magical place. It's magical in the sense that no one's honking cars. I didn't hear a honking car one time when I was there. Everybody's friendly, okay? And it's the friendliest East Coast fucking city or area I've ever been to in my life. I've never seen so many friendly East Coast people in my life. Now, see, I grew up in the South, so I know Southern hospitality. But East Coasters, friendly, nice, saying hi, waving, interesting. In a good way. It was nice. Police presence was not ridiculously heavy. The most I saw of cop cars was when I saw barricades for the presidents and the vice presidents. Like Vice President Kamala Harris came to town. She was fundraising. Of course she was. And so she drove her barricades is when I saw the most police cars. Most throughout the time I was at Martha's Vineyard, there was not like a crazy police presence. Now maybe there would have been ops in plain clothes, but actually there was not that much police presence. People were very like mild and chill and friendly and relaxed. It was just like a very interesting place to be. If you ever seen the movie Pinocchio, the Disney version, the animated one from the 1940s, you remember Pleasure Island? I think it was called Treasure Island, where all the kids were acting up and just having a free town. That's what it felt like for black people there, except we wasn't destructing in property. It just everyone was just having a good time. Every black person I saw greeted me and said hi. I got the nod. People wasn't acting funny. Everyone was just very like chill and in their own world, and it was fascinating. And it was fun in that regard, and very progressive and liberal in the sense that like everyone was gay and no one cared. Everyone was just normal. It was just a very safe space. And a lot of parents like to bring their kids out there because they want their kids to be exposed to this, world where black people, black quote unquote excellence and success can be normalized without anything. And I want to stay on the good before I get into that because I know a lot of you all probably are like, I'm too. I'm getting there, but I just want to break this down. They want their kids to be exposed to this black excellence and see all these great people, and it is like that. Like I was walking and like people recognized me, which was flattering. They wanted to take selfies. It was awesome, but I recognized people too. I saw famous people. I was at a party and I saw the president of ABC News, Kim Goodwin, and her husband. And, they were just normally casually being cute. And I fangirl because I was like, wow, black woman, a black media exec. It was fascinating. So it was those elements of it. And everyone's dressing cute and the food is great. It was great seafood. The best, like I said, the best seafood I've ever had in my life. And the best seafood I've ever had in my life, of course, is in Texas, Gulf of Mexico and all that. But like, man, the food was incredible. Yeah, it was just very calming and chill. Loved the area, loved it all. Went to both sides. Some fabulous ice cream too. Oh my God, the ice cream was great. We stayed at a nice place. We stayed at the Cocoa Inn, which is in Eggerstown. So we stayed in Eggerstown, and Eggers and Oak Bluffs are like night and day, but also still cool, still positive, still fresh. So yes. So the good thing was that was relaxing. It was a great atmosphere. My trip was really cool because what I did was I had several reasons to go. One, I had my book signing at Bunch of Grapes bookstore, which was awesome. A lot of great folks from Philly and people I met, they came through. It was a nice crowd. It was great talks and fun folks. Dr. Ayla Stanford, which is a favorite over here at Ernestly Speaking, she came to my signing and she was incredible, lovely. Leslie Patterson Tyler, her husband Mark, Kelly Tyler, they both came. The Tylers came. A good friend of mine, William Dunbar, and his wife, Faye, they came, and a couple other great folks. It was just so much Philly love, and it was just a great signing. And they show a lot of love at a bunch of books. A lot of people stopped by, and I signed some copies, and it was dope. Dinner was phenomenal. We went to Copper Walk, which was this Asian restaurant with sushi. And the goal of our outing was that we wanted to go places that was like kind of like not super touristy, places that the locals recommended, but also some classics as well. So we had an incredible time. We went to Copper Walk and had some incredible Chinese food. It reminded me of a restaurant called Beijing, which is nostalgic for me because it's across from Penn. And that was nearby. We also had dinner. We went to Bettini, which is a really great restaurant. It's like Italian, New American, very upscale, but I also wanted to have that experience. But then we went for brunch, but it became basically a good old seafood lunch at Martha's Chowder Company, which was in Oak Bluffs. And that was an incredible, great place. We had a lot of private parties and dinners, but I don't know who the caterers were. So that's some of the gaps because the people were like, oh, you should go here. And I'm like, well, I'm also like going to parties where they have caterers. There was a great ice cream place I went to called Scoop Shack. And that was great because I didn't want to go to Mad Martha's because that's super touristy. It's like the Ben and Jerry's of Martha's Vineyard. And people kept saying, go to Mad Martha's. I'm like, no, actually, I'm going to follow my fucking itinerary. Because specifically I went to the Scoop Shack because I heard that that place, their ice cream is really fresh. They make it, and it's like it's the place where the real ice cream is, and it's incredible, by the way. There was a fudge shop that was across from me in the Coco that was like to die for. Whatever that fudge shop is, that's where I went, and it was great. I stayed in Eggerstown, which is in the Coco. I stayed at the Coco Inn, which was connected to this hotel line called the Sydney. If you like to stay somewhere nice, a bed and breakfast spot that's dope, I recommend the Coco or the Sydney. They're connected. They're owned by the same company. That was dope. They had the best. First of all, I ended up skipping brunch that we had booked. We was going to go to Garde East, which I heard was good, but we ended up eating breakfast there because they had hosted breakfast. They had the beautiful, beautiful rooms, very lovely rooms, so accommodating. They had unlimited free coffee and water and fruit and snacks. They had a night where you can, there was a fireplace and there was night trips. They had homemade fresh cookies at 3 o'clock. I mean, it was very nice and accommodating. And those are things we take for granted. Hotels, like, could hotels? Listen, it was hard to find. We didn't find like a regular grocery store nearby us. Like there was a liquor store, but there was not a grocery store. And we was like, oh, how are we gonna get water? Child, they had all the water, sparkling water and regular water. It was so accommodating. Everything was nice over there. I really, really loved my stay there. The bed was just, I mean, it was like given what 700 thread count sheets. I mean, they were over the top, but it was incredible. So I recommend the Coco Inn if you're looking to stay somewhere, or the Sydney, They're connected. So, and they have a restaurant there. We didn't eat at the restaurant, but we had brunch that they served for free. Brunch came with our stay, and it was the most like healthiest breakfast ever. Like the milk came from a farm nearby. They made homemade granola, and they were great. It was a great breakfast. It was a great time there. So I really loved my stay at the spot that we stayed in. We were in the middle of everything, and that was gorgeous. We was right across the street from Vineyard Vines. We went to the Black Dog, and we shopped and got the Black Dog t-shirts and pictures and all that fancy stuff. Great wine because it's the Vineyard, so we did have wine. Red wine I love, of course. Had one glass of white wine, which wasn't that bad, and it went well with the oysters and the seafood that we had. And it was great on that front. What I love too is that I connected with various things I had going on. So I had my book signing, which was fabulous. I was with the Black Alumni Association of USC. Fight on! I'm a proud Trojan, grad student. Love being a Trojan. And there were several events that we did with them. We did dinner the night we came. There was a lovely cruise, that we had. I forget what lake we were at, but it was a nice cruise we did. And that was fabulous. And just networking, connecting with my USC Black family was dope. And that was fun. And they're gonna do it again next year and do more events. So I think I'm gonna go. We're definitely about 95% certain we're gonna go back unless anything happens with my schedule. But we love the USC stuff. Like having an itinerary events there was a pro tip. And then also my fave, the Weavers, the credible Weavers, and Victoria Butler, who is the Grandmaster that runs the liquor. She is the descendant of Uncle Nearest. Uncle Nearest, his first name is Ernest, so there's this cool, unique connection. But Uncle Nearest, of course, is the Black-owned whiskey that was the originators in Tennessee of whiskey. Jack Daniels people stole the recipe, but they claim it back. Uncle Nearest is a profitable, successful Black-owned whiskey company that just we love. So both my husband and I both love it. And we went, and they now have a house in the Vineyard that just opened. So there is the Uncle Nearest house in the Vineyard, and the Weavers live there in the summer and had their lovely house there in the Vineyard, and had this large piece of land and property, these acres, and had this fun mini golf. And they had like lots of parties, and we went to several of the parties and had several of the Uncle Nearest cocktails, and I had so much of it. And I ended up falling in love with other Black-owned brands that are great. There's a brand called Sorrel that is like Sorrel, the Jamaican spice hibiscus. They have that brand, and we tried that, and it's Black-owned. And there's also a Black-owned spice rum that was to die for that we also tried while we were there, and that swept us off our feet. Let me see. It was so many good products. It was so much love out there, and we had a good time. It was some really great people, and I fell in love with so much. The brand. It was a whiskey. It was not a whiskey. It was a rum. But I want to make sure I tell you. Oh, yes. So that brand is called Equano, EQUIANO. It's an African and Caribbean rum. And then there's also Uncle Nearest, and there's also Sorrel. And Sorrel is spelled Sorel. It was so goddamn good that I had to order online. You can order online, and it will come to you. So if you're in Pennsylvania, it will come. Some states are not there, but it's Sorrel, Sorel. Look them up on Instagram. Sorrel Official, I believe, is their Instagram, and check them out. Uncle Nearest is dope, of course. You already know that. And then Equano is EQUIANO, and that's African and Caribbean rum company, and they had some great rum. Yo, the Sorrel with that rum is fire. But the drinks were really good. So I just remember my time there and just getting to catch up with the lovely Fawn, who's the CEO and the CEO of this incredible company, Uncle Nearest. So she had that lovely property. They're going to be doing some events. This was their inaugural events they also had, and we went to some great parties, Mr. Johnson and I. They were so hospitable. Their house was lovely. Y'all saw some of the videos that I had shared. It was fabulous. Um, yeah, overall, it was romantic. It was good. It was beautiful. Yeah. So now I'm ready to get to the bad and ugly, which is not too much, but interesting. So the bad, the Wi-Fi, the 4G. I don't know if they want people to actually like function on the island. The Wi-Fi situation is bad. I mean, Wi-Fi is good when you're in a building, but like trying to get a 4G, 5G, child, the service on that island was crazy. There were times where it would go on, it would go off. It was chaotic. Okay. Like some of y'all was like, oh, why you not responding to my messages? Child, because I can't. I couldn't because I was literally like. So in a way, you have to really be cut off. And some right, that was good for us. It was like we was enjoying ourselves, so we wasn't really trying to be on the phone like that anyway. But it was just the fact that when we was trying to, Uber, which we'll get to that part as well, it got a little crazy when we were trying to actually get directions or check our site it got a little weird. It's very spotty. That was something that was like, whoa. And I was like, all these damn buildings, all this damn property, y'all done been here, y'all know what it's giving, and it would be hard to get, service. And it don't matter what type of phone you have. We were Verizon, so even with having Verizon, it was still, it would be on and off and spotty, that much. That also brings me to my other point. It's confusing whether or not Uber is my friend or an ally. I would say Uber was like driving, you might want to rent a car. But the problem about renting a car is that like you can rent a car, but then the parking situation gets confusing. But I feel like where I'm at, if we do it again next year, we're probably gonna have to rent a car. We didn't drive. Okay, we didn't drive to the Vineyard, but I'm saying to get around the Vineyard, I'm debating on whether if I should do a car or not. But I think for as much as we did on Uber, it might be smarter to get a car. In some cases. Or get familiar with the area to walk. Like before you get, like I don't know. There's part of me where the weird thing about the Uber situation was like there was times where there were like these massive surges, and that was annoying. And then the crazy part is you would order whatever you was ordering, and then you would be thinking it's a 30-minute wait or whatever. But there were times where we had to wait to get an Uber, only for the ride in the car to be like 5 minutes, 8 minutes. And that was a little annoying at times where it's like, damn, we waited all this while for this, only for us to spend, a $35 ride, but then the ride from there to there would be only a 5 minute. But then you couldn't walk because it was so goddamn hot. So that was tricky. And in some cases, it was tricky like that. Cars, I mean, the car situation is on and off because sometimes because of Obama's or Kamala Harris's barcade situation with the cars and stuff, sometimes you'll be trapped in traffic if you just didn't get a simple pickup. So I'm still on and off on whether or not to Uber or not to Uber. If you don't know how to drive or whatever, then just Uber, to be honest. But I'm still on the fence about the driving situation. Like, I don't know if next year we'll just rent a car, if that makes more sense than everything else. The debate is still open. I feel like if the Coco we stayed at, they had a parking spot. If where we stay have a parking space, then yes, car. But if the next place we stay, if we don't stay at the Coco, we decide to stay somewhere else, then we may not necessarily do. We may have to figure that out. But parking, car, getting place to place was weird. It fucks with your mind because you're thinking it's gonna be 30 minutes and then to be like, and the Ubers are weird because they'll get in a car and act like it's a 15-minute drive. That's how they hook you. And then you get in the car, it's only 6 minutes. So, but I say all to say that everything is goddamn near everything. Everybody's near, everything is near each. You could walk, in some cases because the distance isn't as far as you think it is. So that was something I kind of learned was like getting familiar with the island, getting familiar with the area that these places are like literally a couple of steps away. Like everything's next to each other. But Uber will have you thinking everything is like further and it's not as far. Now, when it comes to the beach, yeah, the Uber might make more sense for the beach. But going from a restaurant to a restaurant, going from here to here, different. What else before I get into the deeper thoughts? I mean, as far as people go, everybody was pretty chill. Everybody was pretty nice. I didn't really have any like encounters with racism or anything. I mean, not up front, racism everywhere, but I didn't have any of those things up front. I mean, it was fun to just kind of just be, and it just felt, it actually reminded me of home, like parts of when I'm in Houston, like when I go to Galveston and things like that, some of it reminded me of that. So I'll say that. But to the other side of this, how do I get myself on this? I just think one of the things that made me uncomfortable and also just observant was that there is a lot of ridiculous ass motherfucking wealth and money in this country. And there's a lot of people that we know that are connected to that money or want to be pretending or in proximity of that money. And that was what got me the most, was that while I'm here, I'm seeing all of these successful Black people that are fucking rich, not rich, wealthy. And there are some that was faking, okay? Because let me be clear. As a girl who has been through all the different levels of the financial situation, I done sat with billionaires and I done sat with zeronaires, and there's nothing wrong with either or. I know the facades, and so you have a lot of class anxiety at the Vineyard, which is the interesting point where there's the people there where they want to go because they're aspirational, and there's no shade, right? They're going and they're busting their checks to go because they really want to feel like the elite. And that's a theme of this episode, by the way, because there is some faux elites around, and hence the article. We're going to talk about more of that later, but there is this culture of faux elitism, and I was mocking that through my trial. So if you was looking at my page and noticing my captions, it was interesting because I was making a joke, a socio-political joke, and honestly, it felt like a sociological experiment going, even though my intentions were, look, I'm there to sell a fucking book. So yeah, I was there to do the book show. I was there to connect with, folks I know. But at the same time, it was very much obvious that there were people that were there for the intention of trying to be seen and to flex a certain wealth that they didn't have. So it's like a theme park, essentially. So there was a lot of that going on that at times felt cringy, and it was like, is there ever a place for us to be free? But this is America. So there was that aspects of it that was just kind of like, okay. Then again, the other side was the real wealth, like the actual real wealth. And I'm looking at some of these folks and I'm like, some of these people go to my city, live in my city. And there are some people, and I ain't gonna name no names, that when they saw me there, the energy was so different. all of a sudden, people who never responded to my emails back in the day, never could follow up with me for a lunch or a meeting to talk about something. Oh, but now they were like, oh, where are you staying? And I said, oh, I'm in Eggerstown. Me not knowing until I found out. Oh, Eggerstown. Oh, I have a summer house there. We should go and chat. And there was people who wanted to have these meetings and these things. And they wanted to talk about my future, how much they want to support what I got going on. And let me be very clear. I'm flattered. I'm flattered. But I'm thinking to myself, why does not for this podcast, I'm going to use that word, but why does a person, some of y'all know what I was going to say, and if you don't know, shh. Why does a person have to go all the way to Martha's Vineyard before certain people decide that you're worthy enough to have a conversation and do business and support and invest and consider whatever stuff you got going on? Why do we do that, Black people, to each other? Like, why do we do that? Why do we make people go through obstacle courses and flips and circles and backflips before all of a sudden people are so invested in you and give a fuck in you, give a fuck about you? That to me, we call it fake love, or can I not say that no more? The fake love was very interesting. I'm not going to name names on this podcast because that's the part of the podcast where I have to just call my friends and tell my friends these stories. These are the things I tell my friends. I love y'all. Y'all my fans. But I can't tell y'all the names. Not on a podcast, but we'll talk in person. But there was a lot of fake love I recognized when I went. And there was people that I was shocked, but shouldn't have been shocked I was there, but was there. There were people I went to school with, to college with, folks I hadn't even spoken to in years. All of a sudden I'm here. And then it's like, oh, come here, let's talk, let's catch up. And, oh, I'm a fan, I'm a this, I'm a that. It's like, oh. Everybody want to take a selfie. Everybody want to, take a picture. Everybody want to be in the picture. Everybody want to do all these things all of a sudden. And that was interesting. And also finding out how many people were in this world. I know there's a cult of wealthy people, but God damn it, y'all, it's, It was some things I saw and some people I saw. And I said, oh, that's where they go. That's where they go. That's what they do. Oh, this is a code. Oh, this is a code. Oh, okay. And then there's the clout chasers that like fly their asses there and invest hella money. I mean, these are the people that will spend $300 to take $1,000 to take one of Nehemiah Davis's dumbass, courses on how to get rich and will still go broke, right? Yeah, I'm going to name that name since people out here buying street. Anyway, I get to this point where I say that, you got a lot of people out here who will drop that kind of money to get access, to get their face exposed. And it's interesting. It's interesting because even for me, there were people coming up to me trying to do that. I'm like, oh, no. First of all, I'm really on vacation. I'm not here to network. I'm not really here to do that. And, if I wasn't talking to you in Philly, I'm not going to be talking to you here. Like, I just don't understand why some people just, people want to impress, people want to be flashy. And so that was annoying, that aspect. There were those people, that whole vibe of it was nasty and whatnot. But the one thing that was ugly and the thing that sits with me is that there's a lot of these folks that talk about how they love to get out of Philly and get away from Philly and how much, I love that my kids can have fun and, and be great and, and like the city. And they talk about it in this way about these kids or those kids. And that was the thing that did not sit well with me because the kids that they're talking about are kids like me, kids who were me. And those assumptions about kids from areas of upbringing that do not come from money, and even how they presume what kind of Black person you are because you go there, was interesting. This, you've arrived now, Mr. Owens. The, frolicking of, oh my goodness, isn't it great to be here and not be away from X, Y, and Z? And it's like, Well, that's not why I come here. That's not why I came here. I came to sell a book, but I also came because I wanted to just see what was going on, and and so it was weird because two things was happening at the same time. One is that you have this beautiful island that, as just as a place, it's a beautiful place, and it's a great place. It's a place that is relaxing, that is beautiful, that has great food, that has all of these wonderful aspects about it. But at the same time, this is a place with people who are invested in gatekeeping. They're invested in keeping the area a certain way for certain people. And unless you find yourself there or arrive there, then that's when they open up their doors and welcome you the fuck in. That is the interesting part about it, is because I'm thinking to myself, with all this money all these people have that they want to escape to, if you cared, if you gave an actual damn, then why aren't you investing in those places? All this black excellence in italics, all this black excellence, all this black money, all this black influence, and all you all do is get on an island and exude in it for an entire month. And let me be clear, that's not everyone, right? That's not the Weavers. That's not Dr. Ella Stanford and her husband and them. But there's a lot of other people that go there. And I'm not going to name them names. But there's a lot of people that go there. And they sit up there and they are just wanting to be seen on the scene. And they want to be able to use their self to swing their big old wealthy dicks and just walk around like they're those people. And then they think, when they meet other people like that, they think that we're all in it for the same reasons. And I'm sitting there the whole time like, what the fuck is this? Like, wow, are these like Stepford wives? Like, these people really think we're those people. They think that because we have these things that we're those people. And so what does it mean to be a black person, a black young person that has operated within elite spaces because of the fact that it came with resources to equip, to then go into these spaces, to get access to these spaces and recognize that there's not that many black people like yourself that's actually invested in trying to do the work that you're doing, to make the transformational impact that you're trying to make, that's actually trying to increase access and opportunity for people that look like us. They're not, they realize that it's never, the tragedy that I'm starting to see, and what I'm going to say on this podcast, which is heartbreaking to say, but to really be honest to say, is that these major cities, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Philly, Chicago, all these cities that struggle with all these different issues around poverty and socioeconomic issues, it's never been that the resources were not there. And I'm not talking about government resources. I'm talking about community resources. It's there. These people have the money. We could fix poverty. We could fix community hunger. We could fix a lot of the issues with our broken schools and lack of community drives. We could do all of that ourselves if we wanted to, and say, fuck the government, or say, you know what, we'll wait, but while you're doing it, we're going to invest. We could do all of that shit right now. And the people who are grifting off of their communities that they grew up out the hood of, those people are not interested in being a part of that change. They are only worried about themselves, their kids, and those kids that live amongst them, that they can all circle jerk each other on jobs and opportunities. And to be a self-made bitch that can get there by myself on my own merit and see all these fucking nepotists and all these trust fund babies talk about their stories about how they've been here for decades, then what the hell did you do with it? All of this black excellence, all this fucking money, all of these resources, and you talk about how you've been doing this for years and making sure your kids get on and your kids get on in the private schools. They're over there already deciding on where they're going to put their kids in the lottery in 2 years. They're already looking about how they're going to fuck over the Masterman system to get their kids into Masterman. They're already planning on how to get their kids, you know, in the Horace Mann and make sure that the kids on scholarship, that money to help those black kids get in through scholarship gets reduced. Oh, I heard all the conversations that you didn't think I heard. I saw all the little things that you didn't think I didn't see. And it's just frustrating because wow, wow, fucking wow. And you know it's real, y'all, but to see it up close, that was interesting. So, what I did and what I think I've realized I'm going to do is that when I go back, because I do enjoy the actual physical island, what I will do and what I encourage you to do to those who's listening, make that trip about you and you only. Don't feel the need to go for any other reasons. To my folks that went to Ivy Leagues and prep schools and private schools and stuff, y'all, it's that on steroids to some extent. It's eat the meat but spit the bones out. I love the island. I love the island. The people, find your tribe. Find people you want to go with. Bring friends. Make a friends trip out of it. For me, what I think is going to be my new thing if I go every summer is that we'll go to the Black alumni events because those were dope people. The people that went, I mean, there are people that have gone to the Vineyard their entire lives, and there are people that went because of USC. And I was one of those people that went because of USC, because USC created events for us to go to that we didn't have to break the bank or anything like that. And so I loved that the events I did participate in and go were curated by people I knew and with people I could vibe with. And that felt good. Like the cruise, I don't think I would have spent money for a boat, but the fact that USC got the vote and the Black Alumni Association had, did that, coordinated that, shout out to them. It was fun because I was with people around my age and also people that were just real nice and also down to earth. So, and then also, of course, Uncle Nearest, like I love the owners. I love the people that work with them. So that was like relaxing. And so if you saw and you noticed that I went to like the beach and we went to things that were more intimate, it was because honestly, after being around them type of people and certain events, like we went to certain stuff that was outside of our orbit, it was like very clear what type of time the people were on, and I wasn't about that life. So if you do decide to go to Martha's Vineyard, find a tribe, find people you already know, go with people that you want, make a trip out of it, but go as just yourself. Like go with the intention to just vacation and have fun. If you bump into a couple of people, say what's good and what's up. But I promise you, have your own itinerary, make the trip your own trip. Kind of like if you go to other places, like when y'all go to France and Paris and these other places, you all love to, you make plans, you itinerary, right? I think Martha's Vineyard is worth the trip. I highly recommend everybody go. I think it's beautiful. I think it's fun. I think it's exciting. I think there's so much to do. You don't have to break the bank on some stuff. Everything's pretty reasonable. Like there's stuff that's super expensive. There's stuff that's reasonably priced. Like, but just make it your own. But also at the same time, the thing that allures people to it is the thing that turns me off about it. And I had to go for myself to find out exactly what is the good and what is the bad. But that's with any other trip. That's with any place. Like if I told you New York City is like that. Like, I mean, But like New York City is like that. Vegas could be like that, right? LA, right? It's the same energy. But for those people who've never been that saw my pictures and said, oh, I want to live it up like Ernest, you can definitely do that. But like I said, find your tribe, find your group. I'm trying to find out if other places I'm connected to have things going on. August for Black people, go in August, Black people. To all the Black people that know me, young Black folks, millennials, whatever, y'all go in August. Don't go in July, don't go in June, go in August. Don't go in September unless you got a beach home or you rent. But if you like someone who want to travel on vacation, do it in August. Do it within the first 3 weeks of August, to be honest, because that's when it's the most lit. So when I was there, it was lit, y'all. It was definitely lit. And for people who are not booed up, there are definitely some really fun all-white parties and clubs and little things to get yourself into. There was a lot of that. Of course, Mr. Johnson, I did not partake. We too cute. We too, I guess, old for that. But it was fun to be able to see, that energy happening as well. Definitely think my younger brother would really, really like, but I would need to make sure he's, situated because listen, make them plans early, book them flights, get that stuff together early if you want to go. I would say to anybody who wants to go or thinking about it, don't do it before April. If you try to do it after April, stuff starts to get really high and things get really sold out fast. So if you think you want to do a Martha's Vineyard trip, pro tip, try to have your ducks aligned and get ready by April of next year. Like if you're doing, let's say August 2024, you need to make sure you kind of have a good idea of what you want to do and what you want to, invest, whether that means booking a room, getting your flight. You want to do all that around April, because once you do anything after April, it gets crazy. So for us, I use my miles to get us first class to get there, because I wasn't going to spend them prices. And I was like, this is what miles are for. And y'all know I got hella miles. So I use my miles for us to do a round trip, first class, no nonstop, everything to go, because I wasn't going to lose my mind. But prices weren't, I don't recall them being that expensive, but I just was like, let me use my miles for this. So my mindset is that I think what I'm going to do is every year I'm going to save up my miles, and then I'm going to dump all my miles into getting us the flights to Martha's Vineyard to make it, a romantic situation. So that's my plan. We'll see. But I did like it enough to go back. I want to go back next year. And I think everything that I did this year was very inaugural. My trip was inaugural. The Knuckle Nearest event was inaugural. The Black Alumni Association for USC was inaugural. Like, everybody was just getting a feel for it. But like, I feel like next year is going to be the year when everything is going to be like, everything about to be out of control. Like, I mean, the Black Alumni Association, they're about to rock it out, y'all. The Uncle Nearest, I feel like next year their events are about to be over the roof. Like, I feel like everything's about to be to the next level next year. So I'm putting my energy and focus into 2024 when it comes to that. But overall, lovely place. The people, look, if you keep it hi, hello, bye, cute, hello, what's up, good morning, it's great. But you get a little mixy and mingly with some of these folks, and just a lot of the classism, elitism comes out. And let me be very clear. They're so not aware of it that's what makes it cringy. Like, they're talking, chill. But in reality, they can't even realize. Like, I'm just these moments, they're talking, and it's supposed to feel like a very uplifting, thoughtful speech. But when you hear what they're actually saying, and you're on the other side of that, you're like, wow. So I'll give an example. One example that got me. There was somebody that was at a dinner I was at, and they were like, I just love that I'm not, away from my city. It's so much gun violence and ghetto folks and stuff. And I just love to get away from the type of people and just be here with Black excellence and just be with my people, and we doing real stuff. We doing some real things. I made an investment in some stock, and I met with one of these investors that's going to put me on to some stuff with some cryptocurrency. Anyway, cryptocurrency stuff, and he talking to me about that and some investment. But I'm building my game up, because honestly, this is goals. What I'm saying? I want to have a beach house out here. I'm trying to get me one of these beach houses to rent, next year or whatever. But this is an opportunity for me and my kids. They come out here, they get to do what they want to do without being, stopped and frisked. You know what I'm saying? We live in a good neighborhood in Philly. We live over there in the Northwest. But I'm just trying to get, away from them type of people and be over here more and whatnot. But I met this dude. I'm trying to get my daughter into Mastermind, and he knows somebody up there that's gonna get me, make a call for me. So I'm happy I'm doing that, because I don't really want her public school that she's in. I ain't trying to do all that, and I ain't really trying to pay for private school, because that stuff gets too high. That literally was a conversation I heard, and I'm just sitting there thinking to myself that in a way these people, like, they think this is good, and in my way I'm like, all of y'all have these connections and this money, and you can make it do something different. And they don't even see their own social obligation and responsibility. Like, social responsibility is just not there anymore. It's almost like it's dead. And so that was really hard to hear. So that was that. So on to better news, or good news. I'm back at Cheney as an adjunct professor. The news came out this week. Last week, I kept telling you I was hoping it was going to come out soon. It has officially come out. Press release is out. Everyone's talking about it. But I will be teaching a course that is inspired by my book. The freshman seminar that is taught every year at Cheney. Every freshman has to go. It's a mandatory course that they have to take within their first year attending Cheney. And every year they have a required book. And this is mandatory reading that they must read in addition to the assignments and things they have for the course. Well, this year I will be back as Professor Ernest. and I'll be back teaching this course. And I'll be teaching it with my book, The Case for Council Culture, which is a required reading for the students. Lovely, the wonderful people at Cheyney University, which is the nation's first HBCU. People talk about Lincoln. No, baby, it is Cheyney because it was Cheyney first. We were the first. And Lincoln was second. Lincoln gets oftentimes people confuse Lincoln because Lincoln was the first to give out degrees, but we were the first to actually do the actual formal teaching and education that had the structure in place. There would be no Lincoln without Cheyney because the model that we did for an all black program where students could learn and get skills started at Cheyney, and then Lincoln, of course, became we hip to it and then built it out and then gave out degrees. But we were the first, and we are the first, and we are lauded as the first. Lincoln is just Lincoln. But this also reminds me of another debate on the other side, if you didn't know this. So the University of Pennsylvania is the nation's first ever university. The first college in America is Harvard College. Harvard goes up and down between college and university, but they're actually Harvard College. They were the first in the country, but we were the first university. And that's why Penn has always been successful because we're the first to do an interdisciplinary program when it comes to academics. So we're the ones who was like, yes, you can take classes at the liberal arts, but you can also take classes in the business school, and you could also go see what's going on in the veterinarian school. We were the first university to have multiple schools and multiple programs happening and for people to go. We were the first. That's Penn. But we don't claim that really because, at the end of the day, Harvard has Ernest and Ivy. But all that being said, Cheyney, the university, of course, bought books for the students. Thank you all for, supporting me and, getting these copies and all that. They have bought books to support for the students. And I was initially teaching 2 sections, but now I'll be teaching 3 sections because registration for these classes have increased, which means that we've had to have more sections. And I have signed on to teach another additional one outside of my 2, which is nice little pay bump. But also the cool thing is that there's other instructors within the various departments that will also be teaching the course so that every student at Cheyney, every freshman at Cheyney will have the opportunity to take advantage of this special occasion and also read The Case for Council Culture. So I'm super excited. It's a dream come true, to be honest. I always, knew, and people like, Candace, who listens to this podcast a lot, from the moment the book came out, my dream was always that it would be in college campuses, that it would be read in this way, that it would be a part of curriculum and all that jazz. And so to see the book do exactly that is touching. And to be actually the one to teach the course and to teach lessons based off of my book in a HBCU with Black students, like, what can I say? Like, these are the things that makes me excited the most because I can see the work and the impact and also being able to influence the future. Like, they're going to literally be coming into this campus, and I want to teach them about how not to get canceled. I want to be an Annalise Keating without killing people and doing other bad things. I want to be that person to walk in and have that moment, Annalise Keating moment, like, in How to Get Away with Murder, where she does this thing where she gives that speech, and I always remember it when she does the speech, and she talks about telling her students, speech for class. I'm gonna read it right now because it's just touching. But she has that famous monologue, and I'm trying to find out which one it is because there's a bunch of them that are really good. And a lot of people like the different ones, but I want to make sure I remember the iconic ones, the iconic monologues that she's had. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to remember which one she did. They're showing clips. I wish I could find it. Let's say, anyway, but while I'm speaking about it, so she's great. And she has that opening class speech that everyone talks about. Here it goes. She says, "Oh yes, Good morning. I don't know what terrible things you've done in your life up to this point, but clearly your karma's out of balance to get assigned to my class. I'm Professor Annalise Keating, and this is Criminal Law 100, or as I prefer to call it, How to Get Away with Murder. Yeah. That I want to say to my kids. But I'm gonna, clean up a little bit. I'm gonna say, good morning. I don't know what terrible things you've done in your life up to this point, but clearly your karma's out of balance to get assigned to my class. I'm Professor Ernest, and this is Freshman Class 100, or as I prefer to call it, How Not to Get Canceled. Something like that. But it'll be fun. I start actually next Monday, August 21st. I start next Monday. So I'll be up like you all, headed to class. So when you're listening to this podcast next Monday in the morning, I'll be up in the morning getting ready to teach my class. So we'll be up together, having a thrill. But super excited about the class and the course, and there's gonna be special guest speakers and stuff coming up. So there's more in stock and more to come. What else did I do this week? I was, besides getting ready for the Vineyard, Mr. Johnson and I had a little dinner date with our good friends. And we went to Kalila again this year. Oh my God, I can go again, again, and again. I can go for hours. That food is the bomb.com. Incredible food. Kalila is in Fishtown. It used to be in South Philly, smaller like restaurant, but now it's big and huge, and reservations fill up, and it's massive, and the drinks are great, and the food is divine, and it's really good food. It's Thai food, but authentic Thai. Fabulous food. The last time I went, I bumped into Candace, who's a avid Ernestly speaking fan, and we bumped into each other, and she was trying all things off the menu and everything. We went, and we did not really. Let me just say this. The food is spicy. And if you remember the last episode when I talked about this a couple of months back when I first went to the new Kalila, the food is spicy. Like spicy, spicy. Like I'm black and I know hot. It's hot, hot. Some of the food. There's like two items on the menu that you should really eat with caution because it is seriously hot. So I'll just put that out there. But the food across the board is spicy and fun. If you don't like spicy food, don't come here. They're not gonna alternate the recipe for you. They're like all about authenticity. And there's a lot of food places I've grown up eating and loving, and then I go and they keep switching up the menu, the spices and stuff because they're trying to accommodate white people. So we can't do that. We need to, if you want to go and have a real experience, go and enjoy yourself. I definitely learned my lesson. And this time around, I had stir fry. I had this delicious stir fry. And I have this turmeric coconut rice or whatever that's really good. And then they also have this chicken curry. Like, listen, Mr. Johnson says it's the best chicken curry he's ever had, but also the best chicken curry in the city. So if you like curry dishes that are Thai dishes, that chicken curry has the right amount of spice, the right amount of flavor, and that chicken is divine and flavored, and that rice that goes with it is on top of the world. I highly recommend going. And also, it's, one of the essential restaurants at Eater on our list of top restaurants to go to. So that's that. As far as everything else, before I get into the hot topics, look, my Telfar addiction continues. My acid Telfar bag, the effervescent bag came in. I've been debating on whether or not I want to get those Melissa Telfar, those slips to go with my see-through slips to go, but I think that's a little too much. So instead, I got some Versace flip-flops that are really cute. And when I got back, the crazy thing is when I got back from traveling, all of my clothes, all of my stuff came in. Some of that stuff I was going to wear on trip. Didn't even need to wear the outfits that I had got. I didn't even need to do it. But I definitely got a fit that I'm going to be wearing to a pool party I'm going to next week. ONA, Online News Association, the pool party. Those who know about it, and those who don't, which reminds me that to the people that I need to let them know. So I'm going to actually slide them something. Because that just made me remind myself, actually, they're going to find out when I record my podcast, because I'm about to slide something to some people's DMs right now. And they're going to be like, oh my goodness, you told me about this? And I'm going to be like, And they're going to know when I was recording the podcast, because when they get it, they're going to be like, wow. So let me put this in. There's a couple people I need to actually invite to this that I like, because I actually like them. I want them to come. But anyway, there's a lot of stuff going on, but I got some good clothes. There's a lot of great sales. If you're trying to get clothes for fall, you didn't hear this from me. Some of y'all already know this already, but I've been buying my fall clothes already because it's about to be fall very, 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 very soon. And what I'm not about to do is y'all not gonna catch me out here because like it's I'm ready. I'm ready to wear my loafers again. I'm ready to wear sexy shoes. Like I love shorts. I love my beach shirts. But honestly, after Labor Day, y'all, I am back on the grind. I mean, well, let me be clear when this weather is ready because sometimes you think you're ready, but then the weather tells you, girl, please, you need to go ahead and stop acting like you trying to be cute in this 97-degree weather and get right. So I need to get my act together. So I'm actually, now that I say this, I actually need to get myself together and make sure that I am not playing no games and make sure that I'm straight with my clothes. But I'm getting some fall clothes right now, a little early. I'm seeing some boots that I can't deny. I'm seeing all types of sweaters and things that I need to just buy because they're number one, they're cute and they're super cheap. There's some sweaters I found at Saks for like $15. I'm just like, what? Y'all don't sleep on them fancy department stores. Sometimes you see stuff that you wanted. There's stuff I wanted and I didn't even know if it was ready. But some of these cool department stores, some of these Macy's and stuff, just look in their clearance section. They got some really nice stuff on sale right now, some really fall type of clothes. So get it now before you start regretting it later. And is that. So moving along to what's been hot in these streets and these hot topics. So the Hunter Biden situation just keeps intensifying, y'all. I'm keeping an eye out on it because I think one of the things is we're about to be in full throttle election mode 2024 next year. So I've been in this mindset that, one of the things I want to do is that even though some of you all do not keep up with the news, and I get it because there's so much shit going on in the news, but there's a lot going on with Hunter Biden. So there's been this new twist in the investigation about Hunter Biden, which means his legal tribulations, according to CNN, will likely stretch on for months, which means that this is going to be a drag on the White House, his father's White House, and his reelection his plans, right? Here's why. So a few weeks ago, there was a lot of the shadow over the criminal suspicion over Hunter Biden seemed to lift. We talked about on the podcast a little bit, some of the stuff that was going on with him and these ambassadorships and these relationships across the sea. But unfortunately, it seems like the elevation of David Weiss. Now, David Weiss is the prosecutor investigating Hunter Biden. He has been elevated to special counsel on Friday. That is important for symbolic and political reasons as well as legal reasons. Let me tell you why. The new status means that David Weiss has extra powers to broaden his inquiries, which means potentially into other states beyond his current stretch as U.S. Attorney in Delaware. Okay? So just when you thought this shit was over, it might not be, right? And the change of this status is because there was a collapse of a deal last month. There was a plea deal. Remember we kept talking about this deal and he was going to get out, right? It collapsed last month because it would have likely given Biden to be sentenced to probation after he pleaded guilty to 2 misdemeanor tax charges. Like that was the issue with his taxes. That deal would have also included an arrangement that would have also resolved a felony gun charge. All this stuff would have been cleared up. However, David Weiss said in a court filing that negotiations to restructure the deal, which a judge had worried was unconstitutional, because let me be clear, the deal seemed to be a little too privileged. And I was like, look, white boys getting away. But listen, the judge worried was unconstitutional. It is now reaching an impasse and that a trial was likely. Okay? That's what he said, that they're likely this is going to go to trial, which is a nightmare for Biden. Okay, both Bidens. Because the prospect of Biden's son going to trial under a glaring media spotlight is going to be a distraction. It's going to be a distraction for Biden and potentially his reelection campaign. It would only prolong the personal toll on the family. It's going to definitely have an impact on everything else going on. And, Stephen Collinson, who does analysis for CNN, really, really breaks this down. About explaining why is this a big deal. The special counsel is always a bad news for administrations because, this happened when Merrick Garland, who was over at the Justice Department, announced his move, was a surprising appearance. The Attorney General, okay, AG, Merrick Garland, the one who's supposed to be the Supreme Court nominee under Biden, and that got slapped down, and you can thank that idiot over there who is Mitch McConnell, Senator Mitch McConnell of Kentucky. Um, a lot is going on though, but the symbolic weight is of this appointment. It continues to stiffen the perception of scandal. It also emphasizes and heightens the people talk about potential wrongdoing, even if the legal realities have not shifted. The legal realities of the case hasn't shifted. There is no mass conspiracy with Hunter Biden. Like, none of this shit is there. What it's giving is, y'all, is her emails, Hillary Clinton all over again. But here's the thing, and I bring this to my next point. I say all of this to say that unlike Trump, nearly 8 years ago, when he was campaigning and causing chaos for Hillary with her emails and all the shit over there and all the stuff that was going on in Benghazi, Benghazi and Vineyard and all that, Benghazi, all of that stuff that was happening over there. I'm flustered, y'all. It's frustrating because it's almost like I get annoyed with Democrats who are like, oh my God, this Hunter Biden thing. Do y'all know who the fuck is the front runner of the Republican Party right now? You have Donald Trump, which the crazy part is he was in Iowa, this weekend. Iowa State Fair, flipping pork chops, hanging out with the pros. His biggest competitor, allegedly, right? His Republican rival, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, was also there greeting other GOP caucus goers. They're over there trying to, get the Iowa caucus ramped up because it's getting close, y'all. We're headed to 2024. The 2024 presidential campaign has officially begun, y'all. There is a lot going on. He did all the traditional stuff that they do to pander. And as you all know, this is very different because here's the thing. There's a lot of traditions that happen during Iowa State Fair and, Des Moines, which is a quintessential stop on the presidential campaign trail for the Democrats. But the Democratic Party moved the state to the first position in nominating calendar in 1972. Republicans made the same shift 4 years ago. But this time it's interesting because, Democrats this year are shaking up the order for their nominating contest. So, now they're moving up more black states so that we could get closer to figuring out who is going to be the Democratic nominee much sooner. I don't know if Biden's going to get a Democratic challenge of substance. I hope it's not Bernie Sanders because Bernie Sanders, word on the street is, got some other things he needs to be worried about in his own backyard. And honestly, Bernie, it's enough. Give it up. Hang it up. We don't want you. And there's no disrespect because listen, I voted for Bernie 3 years ago in 2020 during the primary. But at this point, let's be clear. We already knew Biden was going to win. So basically, I was voting on a moral tip. But at the end of the day, I think it's pretty much safe to say that we Gucci. But here's why this is an interesting point. You all know that Trump right now is literally facing a potential fourth indictment in Georgia. While he's out here, there is a grand jury right now that is going to consider charges against the former president over his votes in Georgia. Now, this has to do with the tampering of votes and all the accusations and all that comes with that. So Georgia is ground zero for Trump exhaustion because another indictment is looming. And a lot of Georgia election officials says that Trump's indictments are making him a martyr. That's what some people are saying. Some people are assuming that people can look at this because the argument is, according to MSNBC and other places, they're saying Trump could get hit with a fourth indictment this week. And with that in mind, are we in a situation, I'm not ready to speak on it yet because we got to see if it comes, but it's looking like it's going to come, y'all. Trump is going to be his fourth indictment. And honestly, how many more does it take? Because he's using it to fundraise. And I just have thoughts. But I'm going to reserve some of my theories once the fourth one will land, which could be as soon as this week, which means the next episode of Ernestly Speaking, which will be, next week, of course. You'll find out. We'll find out. We'll see. But long story short, I say all this to say, nobody needs to be judging anybody when it comes to this shit. Democrats and Republicans both. I hate it because what Republicans are going to do, of course, is equivocate Hunter Biden's bullshit as if it's Biden's shit, which means that if it's Biden's shit, his father, right, Joe Biden's shit, then the assumption then becomes that what Trump got going on, the Democrats can't say nothing. Actually, whatever goes on with Biden's son should be irrelevant. But this is why I tell people's family get involved. People's family get involved. It's just too much. It's too messy. But, what I will say is that there is progress being made here. across for Democrats. Earlier this week, this is important. Ohio's abortion ban, the state's first adopted ballot referendums to give people power over gerrymandered legislations. Ohio Republicans want some of that power back, which we know. But this abortion ban rekilling is a big deal. I don't know if you all been following it, but basically Ohio Supreme Court could reinstate a 6-week abortion ban ahead of the November vote. There's a lot of ahead of the rights vote in November. There's a GOP-led Supreme Court announced that they will be hearing a case that could reinstate a controversial law that bans the vast majority of abortions. There has been an August special election, as you all know. There was lawsuits, millions of dollars spent to make it all harder for people in Ohio to choose in November if they have a constitutional right to abortion. However, this was contrasted by the court dealing win last week that to abortion rights unanimously citing that an effort led by activists and supported by state House Republicans of Ohio didn't have merit to move forward. So the group of Republican activists and a former House representative tried to prevent the abortion amendment from getting on the ballot. But the court did decide to hear the oral arguments in September, which would then, kind of give them an opportunity to put the 6-week abortion ban back into place. They've already, passed the 6-week abortion ban in 2019, which had no rape or incest exceptions, which is disgusting. But the law was blocked by a federal judge a few months later. But then when Roe fell in 2022, Ohio reinstated that 6-week ban. Pro-abortion groups sued. A month later, the state judge indefinitely blocked the law from going into place because they were claiming that it was infringement of privacy. But what we consistently have seen is that these pro-abortion groups sued. And then weeks later, a state judge blocked the law from going into effect. This case is now sitting in the high court for half a year now. So I'm going to see what's going to happen. The court is not evaluating whether or not the 6-week law is constitutional. The justices are debating procedural yet still important issues. They really want to know, basically what's happening. And this is why this matters all the front. The Supreme Court is now sending it back to the lower courts. The court chooses to make the decision until after the November election. The court throws away the case, reinstating the 6-week ban. And in a nutshell, we're going to find out the oral arguments of this September 27th. So there is some progress. There's Republicans that are still trying to get it off. But the good thing here is that Ohio moves closer to ballot issue that will protect abortion rights. Supporters of protecting abortion rights in the state's constitution submitted enough signatures to get it on the November ballot. That's the victory, y'all. But they're saying another vote in August, they're alleging, could make it harder to win, but they won. They won. That's the victory. They have won. There is progress. And that getting it on the ballot is the most important part. And that's what we've seen. In Ohio or, that's a good step for Ohio. That's a good thing for them. That's the major takeaway from, the vote. We are seeing that, abortion rights continue to drive out voter turnout. And in a nutshell, Republicans are struggling to figure out a response. For people who are not aware of that and what that means, that's where it's coming from. People are trying to figure out where that is. I've been looking at a lot of the local news, 5, 6 ABC, 5 News. They was big on reporting on this, but really what the major takeaway is here is this issue is that while there is all this Ron DeSantis bullshit, all this Trump stuff, the thing that we should see is that abortion rights is getting people to go to the polls. And that is good for Democrats in spite of all the other bullshit. Republicans are also struggling to adjust as well, which is a lot going on. Democrats are making strong arguments that are sticking, and these ballot measures are going to remain important. That's the takeaway. So stay tuned. Ohio is a big one. That's also a big, state that matters. So we need to stay woke about it. But here is what we should talk about. COVID. Okay. Fortunately, I've continued to be testing negative for COVID. Okay, and that is a wooden table. Haven't had to do that in a long time, huh? But it looks like it's back. But I want to tell y'all something because some people are getting panicky. An uptick in COVID-19 cases this in the school year is coming. I'm about to start teaching. It's getting wild. June there was an advisory panel that recommended the next COVID vaccine formulation targets this Omicron XBB.1.5 variant. Moderna, Novavax, Pfizer are now working to update, test, and mass produce their vaccines, which they will need to officially be authorized by the FDA. The experts estimate that the shots will be available to the public by late September or early October. Okay, now y'all have seen this uptake because this is important. There has been coronavirus, infections that are slowly ticking up. There's a lot going on with the vaccination program. There's a conversation about boosters and everything else. So, at the NABJ convention, which was last week, it was a super spreader event. A lot of people tested positive for COVID. A lot of elder folks were there. It was a super spreader event. A lot of people got COVID, which is unfortunate, which also reinforced the point that I said, rejection is protection. Thank you for rejecting me from that convention because I probably would have gotten COVID if I went to the convention, given what would have taken place. So sometimes rejection is protection. That being said, when I took my ass on my flight, masks are back in. I never let go of my 3M masks. I'm going to be wearing them again. Not everywhere, to be honest, but I am going to be wearing them in high concentrated places. Definitely going to be wearing them when I air travel. Definitely going to not be playing games when they come on this book tour, for real. So that's going to be in place. However, what I will say, a lot of y'all have been worried about whether or not to get a booster. From what I'm hearing from experts close to the situation and health practitioners, wait, don't get that next COVID booster yet. Because like I told you all, there is a new booster that is coming in late September and October that's potent. So what I would encourage you all to do, in my opinion, not a doctor, not the FDA, not a licensed health practitioner. So let me reframe that because I know how some of y'all get. Let me say this. Here's what I personally will be doing. Here's what I would be doing. I am going to be being hella vigilant. I am going to go back to my regular testing. I used to test like twice a week, but I would say the past 3 months, I've only been testing like once a month, like in the middle of the month, just to, but now it feels like the girl has to go back to it. So I'm going to slowly go back to testing again. Probably not as aggressive, but if, I'm traveling a little bit more. So I got tested, on Sunday. I came back from Martha's. So I tested negative. I'm going to test again in the middle of the week, but I'm back on my testing routine because, it happens, stuff happens, but so far so good. I've tested negative on Sunday. So is Mr. Johnson. And we'll be testing again later this week, but we're back on the groove. But that being said, I have no symptoms. I've been fortunately blessed. I've had no anything, I've been feeling good and everything like that. But I've heard stories of people who have gotten it and it has been wild. That being said, people are running to get boosters, to get things. Personally, again, talking for myself, I don't have any symptoms. I don't have any reasons to, not wait it out. You know what I'm saying? So I'm definitely going to take my time and get it right and do it right. So that's my experience. What else would I say? Yeah, I'm gonna wait for the new booster to come later in the fall. But I'm just gonna be patient because the other booster, I don't necessarily feel like it hasn't been updated in a while. And if this is a new variant, you probably, in my opinion, should go with the booster that's going to address the variant that's actually the one that's, contagious. Because obviously the boosters that we have currently, they're good with the other variants, but those seem to have died down. So I'm just going to chill, keeping my eyes back on focus on what's going on. Y'all know at the very beginning of this podcast, COVID watch was real. But it seems like, it ain't over yet. It's never been over. We just have been able to adjust to it. With many Americans now vaccinated at some level, it's been easier to control and contain it, but it seems like we're just going to have to keep re-upping. It seems like there's more space, but we just got to still stay vigilant and be mindful. So COVID is real, y'all. It's back, but hopefully not for a long time. So let's get into this. The Working Families Party is off the ballot. One of them is off the ballot. Jared Smith. Remember I told you about Jared Smith, the guy the black guy who was running, when last week we talked about the Working Family Party takeover. They're trying to get the 2 at-large seats for city council, and they want to get the city commissioner seat against the Republican for that minority seat. Well, looks like that's not going to happen now. He got knocked off the ballot over a technicality. What's really weird about the situation is that Kendra and Nicholas were all, and Jared all signed on to be on the ballot together to go through it. But what I heard, though, due to close sources, that one of them, which was Jared's team, failed to file with the state. And that was, I guess, a specific expectation that was supposed to be done for that particular role as the commissioner. Well, apparently that was a flaw that happened with the campaign manager. The campaign manager on his camp allegedly, sources say close to Working Families camp says that it was the campaign manager for Jared Smith that fumbled the ball that led into the situation where Jared was screwed from getting on the ballot. So now they have surrendered. They're not going to, fight it, because the fight it in court will cost thousands of dollars. Let's be real. Around $10,000 a lot of times it costs to go get a lawyer, fight this in court, try to stay on the ballot. And a lot of these candidates don't have that kind of money, nor if they know they're wrong, it's a waste of time, waste of money. So it's no need. So they're not going to be on the ballot, but Working Families Party candidates, Nicholas O'Rourke and Kendra Brooks, are on the ballot, and they beat the challenges. But what's also happening on the other side of this election is that there is a candidate that will be staying on the ballot and will be going against Jamie Gauthier. I thought Jamie Gauthier was able to shake it off, but no. Jabari Jones, who is a Democrat, but now is running as a third-party candidate, is running for the West is Best party, which is being connected, and he is going to be taking on Jamie Gauthier in November. This must be a headache for Jamie. I don't doubt that Gauthier is going to win. I think she's going to win. I just think common conventional wisdom says such. But the fact that she is going to have to actually still kind of campaign, the anxiety of dealing with this, because normally Democrats, when they win in districts, after the challengers they might face in the primary, they don't have to worry about what's going to happen with anybody else. Third-party candidates traditionally do not run against them and take this to the next level. So the fact that Jabari Jones is insistent, after dropping out or having to be knocked off the ballot during the May primary, he's now coming back for round 2. And part of you have to wonder, well, why are you doing all that? But he really is clearly concerned. And also Jeffrey Yass money. Let's be real. The richest man in Pennsylvania is making it rain over there in another attempt to knock Gauthier off the ballot. Well, she got challengers. Bless her heart. I think she's going to be fine, honestly. But I know that it doesn't feel good to have to still be a candidate. And so she is really dealing with it. And also hearing, who knows what's going to happen. I don't think Jabari is going to win. But I am curious to see the percentage. And I think she also was a little curious, because I think essentially Gauthier does not want a challenger, because I don't think she wants to contest with the fact that her popularity has dwindled. Sure, she's won, but she's knocked challengers off the ballot to ensure that she doesn't have anyone looking at how vulnerable she is. Because the numbers are going to reveal that. See, that's what happened over here with Cindy Bass, over there in the Northwest, over there around Germantown, with Cindy Bass and Seth Oberman, whatever. Those two went against each other, and Cindy won by 400 votes. They were neck and neck. Which means that when Cindy runs for re-election, if she chooses to run for re-election in 4 years, she's going to have to deal with the fact that that seat is ripe. Anytime you can almost lose your seat to a Democratic socialist in an area like Germantown, baby, run. To be honest, that ain't no victory. I mean, she's got the seat, so I guess it's a victory on that front. But there is no referendum There's no cockiness. Every day, she has to sleep with the fact that any given day, 400 people, if the wind would have blew, she would have lost. Because that is not a clear-cut win. It is literally a squeaker. And quite frankly, she deserves to be challenged the next 4 years. Because unless, if you was a candidate competitive, I'm not talking about her record or her whatever. I'm just talking about strategically. She has made it a case. She has, her election results has made it a easy way for somebody over there to say, I can get it next time. And clearly, the district is divided. Half of the district wants a moderate, and the other half wants a radical progressive. It ain't looking too good over there. Just saying. I say all of this to say that with these elections, right, with these seats, we are seeing people create new parties, right? The West is best. Let me be very clear. West is best. I live in West Philly, so I'm going to say that. But I'm interested to see the margin between the two of them, between Gautier and Jabari. Because if Jabari Banks I don't think that's his name. But I'm very curious to see, what happens. What happens there, because I live in West Philly. So some of y'all might be looking at this a different way, but I'm telling y'all that Jabari Jones, is a part of the West's best political party. And, it's a lot. And she tried to challenge them, but looks like Jabari gonna be on that ballot. So we'll see. Now I want to talk about this briefly, and I'm going to keep it cute. There is a column written by Helen Ubinas at the Philadelphia Inquirer. She's a columnist, long-time columnist. She's respected in the field. People respect her and like her for her trauma-induced gun violence porn columns. No shade. But she wrote something recently coming at Democratic mayoral candidate Sherrell Parker, and kind of put on this whole thing about what Sherrell should be doing and, gun violence and this, and this. And the column that she wrote, saying Philly's next mayor shouldn't take the summer off, saying no one vying to lead Philadelphia should be standing on the sidelines waiting for their official start date. And I said, excuse me? She said, quote, under normal circumstances, quote, I'd applaud Sherrell Parker for not prematurely inserting herself into mayoral matters as a Democratic nominee in a mostly Democratic city that all but guarantees the job is hers. It sounds like an appropriate, let's be honest, politically safe move, right? Let the current guy finish his time, sage the bad juju out of the office and start fresh. But things haven't been normal in Philly for a while now, and they only got worse after Mayor Jim Kenney effectively quit on the job after a shooting 13 months ago. As convenient of a punching bag as Kenney's made himself, this isn't about him. Despite coming down hard on Kenney, I truly hope he finds the peace he yearned for while being mayor in these unprecedented times. Godspeed, God bless, and all that. Now it's time for us to talk about Philadelphia's future. Let me tell you something. The piece, I'm sorry, is trash. Let me tell you why it's trash. As a journalist, when we put things out in the press, we have to be responsible for the realisticness of them, the reality of them. Whether you're a columnist or not, there has to be a level of actual fairness and reality. What Helen Ubinas did in this piece and what she says about Sherrell, I think is fucking stupid. And I also think it's racist. Yeah, it's racist. Because the reality is that Sherrell Parker is a black woman. And she's someone who understands that you're asking her to do a job that she cannot actually do. You're asking for her to do labor in addition to running a race that she has to run. Granted, it might be very clear that she is going to potentially win this race. However, do you recognize the nuances that a Black woman would have trying to do a job that is currently being occupied by a white man to do? That if Sherelle actually took Helen Ubinis's dumb advice, that the framing would be, look at her getting ahead of herself. Look at her already acting like she's the boss. Look at her double-crossing her political ally, Kenny. Look at her, acting like she can do the job and ignoring the fact that she has a current race in front of her. How arrogant of her. How cocky of her. You're not asking that of David O. Why is the picture of Sherelle Parker and not both mayoral candidates? Why are they not treating this as if both of these candidates have a fair shot when we know that journalism requires us to be fair and to be balanced at a certain point? Nothing about this in fair is balanced. None of this is fair to Sherelle as a mayoral candidate, that even though she's the front runner, she is still a candidate. And so the fact that we're acting like she's mayor-elect when she's not even mayor-elect, she's just a mayoral candidate. She won the Democratic nominee. Leave her the fuck alone. She's doing the work to educate herself. She's doing the work to be informed. But to try to act like she should get in the middle of acting like a mayor when she does not have any of the constitutional rights of the city's charter to do anything or enact anything as mayor is pretty pointless and really disrespectful. So yes, Kenny is sleeping on the wheel. But you know what? This should be a message to your publication, who endorsed him for mayor, mind you, who continued to make excuses to him until a certain point, right? That maybe you all should take a step back and keep doing your job and interrogating a man who's done the job, rather than to just say, white man, Godspeed, we know you checked out a year ago, do your thing, but let's get on this Black woman who hasn't been elected yet to do her job. I'm not here for it. And these are the kind of things where I see racist, sexist bias in it. Because I've never seen a man who's ran in the past years I've been mayor being asked to step in to address that of their predecessors. Y'all was never telling Kenny to do that's right, because I guess Nutter wasn't leaving that much stains for you all, but no one was asking Kenny to jump the gun when Nutter was mayor. And nobody was telling Kenny, while he was still clearly going to be the front runner, he was going to win, to step up his game on gun violence while he was an incumbent. No one did that, right? But you're going to do this to Sherelle. You're going to pick a Black woman to do this unprecedented expectation call on. Fuck out of here. Fuck out of here. It doesn't make any sense talking about standing on the sidelines. She's a fucking candidate. Yeah. I just think it's a slow news day over there at the Inquirer. They've been writing a bunch of dumb articles. But when are they not writing dumb articles? I feel like the news is so slow. They don't have enough to write about. So they're just picking things and fucking with them because it's slow. No, this summer I'm not doing a lot of political writing because guess what? City Council is what? Out of session. The mayor is on vacation. The mayoral candidates are not really talking or proposing anything this summer because everybody knows that in mid-September, when council is back in session and everyone's back at work, that's when the political heat is going to happen. But I guess when you're getting paid year-round to write mediocrity, then you have to keep on pushing mediocrity. I digress. So, and other things that have been going on. So when my podcast hit on midnight on last Sunday, who was I shocked? Because the whole streets have been talking about the Alabama Riverfront Brawl. I call it the Montgomery Riverfront Brawl because Alabama don't got nothing to do with it. This fight has been largely divided along racial lines. The social media energy has been crazy. And I don't even have to go over and recap everything because at this point, you all know the story very well. What I will say is that what happened at that riverfront is an example of a lot of things that we need to stop lying about. For starters, let's stop acting like Black people can't swim. There are a lot of us who can, including myself. I can swim. And when we swim when we want to. We swim when we need to. And we need to stop with these perpetual stereotypes. A lot of Black people are swimming. Some Black people don't, and there is a cultural issue in some aspects, but let's not act like our people don't know how to when they want to. There are some great Black swimmers, clearly, but there are some who haven't. And the young man who did what he did, we was very proud of him. That young man, he's getting a lot of support. He's getting a lot of money. People are supporting his future and his college future, and he's a hero because he helped there. Because what we could have witnessed, y'all, could have been a public lynching of an innocent black man who was being attacked by a bunch of white people at a dock. And this man was a big guy who did everything he could to defend himself. Look, he chucked that hat up in the air like it was time to go, okay? It was giving Roddy Ricch, where it was like, fuck, about a week ago, he's ready to throw them hands. But he goes out, he throws them, he's defending himself the best he could, but he's on the floor. And honestly, in incidents like that, everybody had their fucking cameras out, videotaping, and this man could have died, okay? There was enough of them. The way they were on him, this man could have died and lost his life. A bunch of white people just sitting there, kicking him, punching him. He was fighting for his life. And a young teenage black boy gets in that water, swims across to lay hands. And we're talking about it's a fade in the water, all that jazz. But then a bunch of other black people see it. And they get up and they say, you know what? This ain't okay. Let us get out here and save this brother's life. And they save his life. And they're whooping these people's asses. And these are white people's asses, mind you. And mind you that all of this is about where a boat was getting parked and getting seated. And because of their white privilege and entitlement, they did not want to listen to this black man who was simply trying to do his job. And so they came. And they threw hands. And some actually swung with chairs. And they whooped ass. And everyone says violence is not the way. But let me tell you something. It wasn't violence. It was protection. They were saving the life of someone who could have been killed. And one of the things that's been pissing me off is that everyone has forgotten, some people have forgotten why this even happened. Because this black man, this older black man who was on the ground for his life, they were kicking him. Anything could have happened. And we know what happens in cases. Sometimes they just get killed. This black man would have lost his life. And so all of those people came there and fought to save his life. And that is why this mattered. Because for too long, we've seen videos of white people killing black people in the streets, killing black people. Look what would have happened when we think about what happened to that young black man in New York City on that train, the Michael Jackson dancer, who literally got killed in broad daylight on that train in New York City. New York, stand the fuck up. What the fuck was that? Right? Nobody did anything. They let this man get choked to death on a train. Meanwhile, why wasn't the brawl there? Y'all should have been beating that white man's ass. Y'all should have been telling him to get off him. Y'all should have been intervening in that. Nope. You pulled your cameras out and videotaped the black man being killed. So we already know what people would do. We already know what could happen because it's happened again and again and again. So I was relieved to see black people coming together to save someone's life. That's why I loved it. That was why it was important to me. Because the entire point is that these black people who said, fuck the law, fuck everything, we're not going to let someone like us die. A young black boy saw it and said, if I can do anything I can to save this man's life, what will I do? While people are sitting on this fucking boat, just looking down and looking at it and cheering it on. But the truth of the matter is, this is all about black people coming together to save a life. And that's what they did. Well, you remember the scene where the man is hitting them with a white foldable chair? Well, last weekend, he turned himself into the police. Last weekend, when he did this last weekend, he turned himself into the police on Friday. He is the 5th person charged in this fight. His name is Reggie Ray, age 42. He turned himself into the Montgomery Police Department, and he was charged with disorderly conduct, Captain Jared Williams has said in a statement. There were phone calls. They were trying to, reach out to him. They don't know if he has a lawyer, but basically, personally, I hope that he's released and that the bail gets him. He has a folding chair. He's whooping ass with it. And to be quite honest, I understand the meaning of what, the legendary, the late, great Shirley Chisholm meant when she said, if they can't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair. That man brought a folding chair and he did what was supposed to be done. I mean, not bad, disorderly conduct. It could have been worse. He'll be all right. But if there's somebody that could put money on his bail, I am here for it. You know what I'm saying? I was here for it. So just wanted to tell y'all what the tea was on that. But I'm feeling really good about everything. He'll be all right. He'll be all right. So, what can I say? When it rains, it pours. Um, Lizzo, y'all. Lizzo, when it rains, it pours. Lizzo is getting new accusations. There's more additional accusations. They keep coming, y'all. There are additional accusations from the ex-employees. 3 of the former dancers have filed a lawsuit against her. More people got stuff to say. Here are the additional allegations. Lawyers representing 3 of Lizzo's former dancers said they are looking into new allegations against the pop star made by at least half a dozen people who said they toured with Lizzo or worked with her on her reality show, Lizzo's Watch Out for the Big Girls. They're saying there's 6 inquiries, the attorney said. Some of the claims they're reviewing involve allegations of a sexually charged environment and failure to pay employees and may be actionable, but it is too soon to say. So it's a lot of stuff being said. Lizzo has given a statement, which I think the statement has been a little interesting. I'm going to read the statement because my comms hit on. She said, "These last few days have been gut-wrenchingly difficult and overwhelmingly disappointing. My work ethic, morals, and respectfulness have been questioned. My character has been criticized. Usually I choose not to respond to false allegations, but these are as unbelievable as they sound and too outrageous to not be addressed. These sensationalized stories are coming from former employees who have already publicly admitted that they were told their behavior on tour was inappropriate and unprofessional. As an artist, I have always been very passionate about what I do. I take my music and my performances seriously because at the end of the day, I only want to put out the best art that represents me and my fans. My passion comes from hard work and high standards. Sometimes I have to make hard decisions, but it isn't my intention to make anyone feel uncomfortable or like they aren't valued as an important part of the team. I am not here to be looked at as a victim, but I also know that I am not the villain that people and the media have portrayed me to be these last few days. I'm very open with my sexuality and expressing myself, but I cannot accept or allow people to use that openness to make me out to be something I am not. There is nothing I take more seriously than the respect we deserve as women in the world. I know what it feels like to be body shamed on a daily basis and will absolutely never criticize or terminate an employee because of their weight. I'm hurt, but I will not let the good work I've done in the world be overshadowed by this. I want to thank everyone who has reached out in support to lift me up during this difficult time." And, it was interesting because last week, Beyonce initially wasn't saying Lizzo's name in her Break My Soul monologue where she does the names and shout outs. Well, Beyonce's went back to naming Lizzo. And there has been an interesting sense of reading from some of these accusations and narratives. It's giving to some people. I remember that time when Regina George hit me. I remember the time when Regina George had told me I was ugly, and now I have been struggling to deal with the trauma of that for many years to come. I remember the time where, Regina George, told me that I should eat less sandwiches. And now for 5 years, I haven't been eating sandwiches. It's giving that. If you know Mean Girls and you know what I'm talking about, it's giving that. It's giving that. To some extent, some of these people, every little thing Lizzo done, now they want to hop on and add on to it. Now, I'm not saying that Lizzo hasn't done some shit that she should be accountable for, and it looks like she might be, because the way that she said it, some of that stuff in her statement, I was like, girl, what have you done? But to some extent, I am slightly a little annoyed with a lot of the people coming out the woodwork to over-exaggerate or to just do the most about some encounters. I've had some awkward encounters with celebrities. Y'all know Neo's a dickhead, and I can't stand Neo. But I'm not going to be the person to just automatically, talk about something that is serious. These are serious allegations. And I think people are piling on with these weird things. Kind of like when people did the thing with the I already knew it. And it's like, well, why are you making a point to mock that? Like the I already knew it crew. and like they're bragging about how they want everyone to know that they knew something no one knew. It's like, who does that? Like, I mean, even if you did, like, I don't know, that it's that moment where people be showing their ass. But also, part of this has become a situation because Made in America got canceled. Now, I haven't gone to Made in America in a while, and this year I wasn't really hype about it, but the headliners were SZA and Lizzo. And people have been trying to speculate, why did Made in America get canceled? Because y'all know for a minute, Made in America has been the hottest ticket in Philadelphia as far as music festivals. Roots Picnic had them. I don't fuck with Roots Picnic this year because of what happened with Dave Chappelle. But do y'all remember, like, I felt like the Roots Picnic lineup was a lot more spicier than this year's lineup over. And I think part of it was several reasons. One, I do believe that Lizzo has a role, but I'll get to that. I think that the reason why Made in America got canceled was because I think there were low ticket sales that was combined with Lizzo's situation. Because from what I'm hearing from people close to Made in America, you know, I got my sources. Allegedly. I always got to say that because, you know, I got a lawyer. But from what I've heard, the allegations that I've heard is that low ticket sales is part of the reason, but low ticket sales coupled with Lizzo's scandal. Because there were people who asked for refunds, apparently. A lot of the Lizzo fans a lot of them are no longer Lizzo fans. Some of them had massively asked for refunds. So you have a situation where there's already low ticket sales, which they thought, you know, maybe more people typically, and what I've heard is a lot of people buy tickets to Made in America closer to the festival because they're trying to weigh out their schedules. A lot of people oftentimes don't buy music festival tickets super early, you know, unless it's like Lollapalooza or, Coachella, you know. But outside of those, a lot of people are not like crazy, right? A lot of times people spend the money closer to the dates because at the end of the day, some people are waiting to see if they're going to get a Made in America hookup. And so a lot of times people oftentimes get tickets and sell the tickets or do exchanges. But Made in America typically does fairly well. It just happens normally closer to the festival itself. So I know that slow ticket sales, people say the slow ticket sales is a part, but honestly, it's always been slow ticket sales. It oftentimes is like that, you know. Bad Bunny last year, things got a little hot because people really loved them some Bad Bunny. That was a really good grab. Justin Bieber the year before. Lizzo and SZA, I figured because it's two black women headlining. Normally, it's like one major black woman and then it'll be, or one major black artist, and then there'll be some white artist for the audience. Or a non-black artist. You know, Bad Bunny was last year, so that was like the big thrill. But they also had another major name. I think I remember, because they always have that. Like it'll be Drake and Pearl Jam or somebody else. You know, so I'm looking at some of this stuff, some of the past one headliners, because this will give me some context for what I'm talking about here. So the Made in America, so when it first happened, it was in 2015. No, let me back up. It's been some years. Oh my God, it's been 10 years. So the first year in 2012, it was Jay-Z and Pearl Jam. Now that was 2012. It was Jay-Z and Pearl Jam. Guess who else was there? Drake. But Drake wasn't that big yet, y'all. Like, could you imagine that? But they had Drake, they had Jill Scott, they had Calvin Harris and Skrillex. Okay, a couple other big names. Then 2013, it was Beyonce and 9 Inch Nails. They had Calvin Harris, they had Macklemore, they had Wiz Khalifa, Miguel, Kendrick Lamar. Not bad for 2013. But they also had one in Los Angeles. And let me also add this little interesting point. It never came back. They tried it that year. It was filling themselves because the first Made in America was so great that 2013 they wanted to bring in another city to bring it to Los Angeles. So that year, okay, and remember, let me back up. That was 2014. Okay, 2013, 2012 was great. So let me back up real quick. 2012 and 2013 was super successful. It was so successful that in 2014 they wanted to do Philadelphia and they also wanted to do Los Angeles. So here's where the headliners. In Philly, it was Kanye West and Kings of Leon. who were the headliners for those that weekend. In LA, it was Imagine Dragons and John Mayer. Kanye West was also performing, Kendrick Lamar, Iggy Azalea, When She Was Hot, Chance the Rapper, a couple big names. But in Philly, it was Kanye West and Kings of Leon, but they also had The National, J. Cole, they also had Tiesto, YG, some big names. 2015, after they lost and they got canceled, they canceled LA. LA wasn't that popping. But look who they had. Imagine Dragons and John Mayer. That's not too fly. That's a little corny, right? But then 2015, they were like, we got to bring Beyonce back. So it's Beyonce and The Weeknd. And they also had J. Cole again. They had Big Sean. Nicki Minaj was a special guest because her boo at the time was Meek Mill. So that was a moment, okay? That was a moment, okay, when Beyonce came. When she came again, right? So then 2016, Rihanna came back. Rihanna and Coldplay were the big names. That was a great year. 2016 was fabulous. They also had DJ Khaled, FK Twigs, Lil Wayne, 2 Chainz. They had ASAP Ferg. It was nice. It was nice. Travis Scott, they came back again. 2017, it was Jay-Z, J. Cole, and the Chainsmokers. Because he's the festival founder. Jay-Z was the festival founder. It was okay here. You know it's in the pattern here, right? Then in 2018, it was back again. This time, the headlines was Nicki Minaj, Kendrick Lamar, Post Malone, and his friends, which was Fat Joe, Gunna, them folks. 2019, the headliners was Travis Scott and Cardi B. Not bad. Not bad at all. 2021, the headliner was Justin Bieber and Lil Baby. Really hot number. Super hot number. And then last year, the headliner was Bad Bunny and Tyler, the Creator. Super dope again. So it was a nice mix. They had a really nice mix. This year, it was canceled because they said that, some stuff that was unexpected. But they plan to come back in 2024. They plan to come back in 2024. That's what they're saying for now. I think low ticket sales, but I really think that the refunds from the Lizzo fans probably played a role in it. That's my thought. That's my theory. I think in general, SZA, because, the SZA curse is real. SZA was supposed to come to Philly, and this is like the 3rd time SZA has had some weird situation where she could not come to her Philly tour date. She did it recently with her last tour date. She did before that with another tour date. SZA and Philadelphia just don't mix. We can never get SZA to come to Philly. I feel like it's a curse. This is the 3rd time that SZA has not come to Philly. And I also think maybe some people probably did not go, maybe not feel enthusiastic to buy the tickets because Lizzo just performed in Philly like last year for her special tour. And SZA just did a tour not too far. So I feel like because these artists are always on tour, it kind of felt like, do I really need to, and they're big name artists, they're mainstream artists. I mean, it's a good grab, but I feel like because they've already had their tours, maybe some of these people feel like, do I need to spend more money to see them again? So I don't know. But I think there's something to be said about it. Now to Tory Lanez ass. Tory Lanez is sentenced to 10 years behind bars for shooting Meg Thee Stallion. Good. That's what the fuck you get. We waited for this date. Finally. I wish that, for me, justice is served. And it came out that it was true. That Tory Lanez was feeding misinformation to DJ Academics, that little fucking rat. Fed him information so he can use it to antagonize and discredit Meg Thee Stallion. And the judge made a good point that the reason why this man is going to jail is not only because he shot Meg, but he lied. He also used misinformation and sent it out to blogs to torment and harass this woman. Meg Thee Stallion has endured several shots to her integrity, her credibility, her persona. And even though Meg at the time did not disclose that her and Tory Lanez had a sexual relationship, that does not mean that everything else she said was lying. Some women don't want to tell people who she's there in bed with. You've heard her lyrics. She said, let's keep it on the low. But also, it doesn't seem like Tory Lanez wants everybody to know about his situation with Meg either. And now he's claiming he's got a fan group called The Umbrellas. Boy, bye. That these diehard fans, they're doing everything in their power, including some of these fucked up wannabe journalists, black women in media, trying everything in their power to act like he lied. Well, the evidence says otherwise. And a lot of other information says otherwise. But just, you don't believe her. You don't believe black women. It don't matter. Meg is innocent, and the courts have proved that at the end of the day, it wasn't her on trial, but him. Okay? And the prosecutors charged him, and he deserves everything he fucking gets. And that's what the fuck he deserves. I know I'm against abolition, but lock that motherfucker up. Because he's trash. And what you do, and this should be a lesson to every black man and every man in this industry, in hip-hop specifically. This is the 50th anniversary. Some anniversary that you still got black men in hip-hop shooting black women and other men supporting them. So much for a 50th anniversary celebration, right? That black women in hip-hop are still getting treated with violence, and the black men in this industry don't stand beside them like they should. And the thing about what happened specifically to, to Meg is that she has been harassed online. When I go online, people tagging her, people saying things. This woman has not gotten any peace since that happened to her. And she's trying to live her life and have joy, but there's so much people that is mad. Fuck him. Send him back to Canada. And to make matters worse, two people, okay, one that was trash and one that is just breaking my heart, wrote letters in support of Tory Lanez. Iggy Azalea wrote a letter, y'all, to the Honorable Judge Hereford to basically defend him. And this is information that people tried to say, talking about, my name is Iggy Azalea, and I've been a successful musician for the last decade. I've sold over 65. First of all, why is she lying? She has not been a successful musician for the last decade. She was a successful musician for the past 2 years, between 2014 and 2016, and I'm being generous. She says, I've sold over 65 million records throughout my career. I had #1 hits on the Billboard Hot 100 and broken records previously held by the Beatles. My music has been nominated for 6 Grammys, and I have a multitude of other musical awards. Throughout my career, I've toured with some of the biggest acts in the music, from Beyonce to Pitbull. I've also collaborated. Now, why are you putting Beyonce's name in it? Why are you putting Beyonce's name in it? And you did not tour Beyonce. You was in a music festival where Beyonce was on that tour. Get yourself together and stop lying. We know what tour that was. That was Made in America. Girl, keep Beyonce's name out your mouth. I've also collaborated with everyone from Britney Spears to Jennifer Lopez. And let's also be clear about that too. Britney Spears don't claim you, and nobody talks about that song y'all did together. And I'm not even going to name that flop-ass song y'all did together because Britney don't even acknowledge you, girl. You need to stop, okay? Jennifer Lopez, girl, why you got Jennifer Lopez? Well, see, I don't know her. And maybe that was Ashanti, but let's not even go there. Everybody calls her Jennifer Lopez, but I'll move on. In short, like yourself, I'm great at what I do, and I'm well respected by my peers. Girl, why you lying? Cap, cap, cap. Every line is a lie. But I go on. She's becoming successful is incredibly hard to do. No, it's not. You're a white woman that got on by a black man who wanted to exploit you. His name is T.I. He brought you from Australia to come here and culturally appropriate to make money after he saw the success that it brought for Miley Cyrus. Moving on. The music industry is not designed to empower artists, especially not women. Okay, that's one truth and one lie. You know which one is a lie and which one is truth because you're not an artist. But it is hard for women. You learn to expect misogyny at every turn, no matter how much you've personally achieved. Sadly, I've spent my entire career battling sexism and bad behavior behind the curtains. One unfortunate consequence is that I'm a victim of abuse myself. I must make note of the things I've suffered through so that you understand definitely. I would not write to you on behalf of an abuser. In fact, it's the very reason I felt imperative to share my viewpoint as a woman in music in regard to Daystar Peterson, that is Tory Lanez. You are presiding over his case, and it would mean a great deal to me if you please let me share with you why Tory Lanez is far from your average entitled rap star, like yourself. I believe in justice, and I know you do too. You've dedicated your life's work to it, and I respect that deeply. That's why I'm taking my time to do this, because I know the person you are understands in order to truly conclude what a fair sentence is, you need better understanding of who the person you're sentencing is at their core. Judge Hereford, I was elated when I saw your name in relation to trial because you have a reputation of being a very fair judge. Oh, she ass kisses him. Then she talks about, he battled and overcome some incredible odds and his pathway to success. In many ways, he's still battling now. She talks about remain friends, and talked about Daystar has been helping from the moment I met him. Our paths crossed 2018 while working in the same record studio. Although he was writing music for another artist, he took the initiative to come to my room in his break time and play song ideas he'd written for me too. This resonated with me because it's highly unusual for someone who's already very successful to want to help others. Music is competitive in that way. We've remained friends since, and what I've come to understand about Daystar is he's genuinely passionate about helping others. He will go out his way to help someone he sees even a glimmer of greatness inside. Although he's an incredible songwriter, it is my belief that this is his true gift. Girl, look, I'm not reading all this whole letter. Too long, don't care. But let me say this point. What has happened is that basically she lied. She initially said that she wasn't doing all this stuff with the letter, that she wasn't advocating for him in that kind of way. She was just putting some information. She hadn't been in communication with him. She lied the whole fucking time. She was actually advocating for him. She's a piece of shit, and she lied. And at the end of the day, what the thing about Iggy Azalea is that this is what white women do. They weaponize their privilege in a space like hip hop, right? To then turn around and weaponize and support a black man who abused and harmed a black woman. Okay. It's funny how they come in and they never find solidarity with other black women in the industry. Hence the fact that no other black women in hip hop has really acknowledged Iggy because they recognize what she was when she came into the game. And even T.I. regrets putting her on, which is a problem because at the end of the day, look what he did, right? And look what she's done. And she consistently shows it. So the one time you decide to stand up against black issues and matters is when you're trying to defend one of your friends that put you on the studio. A black man that has been accused and has actually done a lot of dumb shit. We see what the ops are. We know what they are. Fuck boy, fuck girl, fuck them both. But what really hurt me was Mario. Yes, Mario. The great R&B singer that we love that was giving us a run for our money against Omarion last year doing verses. So cute, so charming. But Baltimore, y'all have something to be ashamed of right now. Outside of, Christian Blue. This situation about Tory came out. Mario basically said that he's never seen Tory act out of character in a manner to hurt someone. And that is from Mario Barrett. Why did you do this, Mario? And I guess, we got to be real. They've collaborated and done music with each other. They did a song called The Cry. They did another single called Main One that they did together. And they just recently did another track that included Tyga and Lil Wayne. So the Tory Lanez love is there. And it's obvious that he has written a letter and he's done the things he's done. He continues to deny what happened, but, he wrote this letter. This is Tory Lanez's letter. He wrote, "To the umbrellas, I will never let a hard time intimidate me. I will never let no jail time eliminate me. Regardless of how they try to spin my words, I've always maintained my innocence, and I always will. This week in court, I took responsibility for all verbal and intimate moments that I shared with the parties involved. That's it. In no way, shape, or form was I apologizing for the charges I'm being wrongfully convicted of. I remain on the stance that I refuse to apologize for something that I did not do. I've faced adversity my whole life, and every time I looked like I would lose, I came out on top. This is nothing but another moment where my back is against the wall, and I refuse to stop fighting till I come out victorious. Tough times don't last, tough people do. To my fans, to my family, friends, and umbrellas, thank you for your continued support. See you soon." Interesting. The umbrellas. Because when it rains, it pours. Yeah. That's that. Wayne Brady is pansexual. Okay. Next topic. Billy Porter is apparently going to have to sell his house because of the issues going on with unions and all that jazz. Now, I'm not calling cap, but I am saying some of this is interesting. So he's talking about the strike, and listen, strikes are real. People's lives get impacted. He is saying he's now going to have to sell his house because of the strikes, and he's getting mad at Bob Iger, who's the big CEO exec at Disney, for his remarks. And he's really going hard, and he's getting headlines and getting news. I'm not saying that Billy Porter is selling his house, but I want to just add that Billy Porter is also experiencing a divorce right now, and that's going to change a lot of the expenses and things for him in the midst of his divorce. And I'm also going to add that, that's all I'm going to add. Was you renting the house or did you own the house? Just saying. I just hear certain things and it just makes you go, leaving that there. Now, Ask Ernest. This week is hot, y'all, and I cannot wait to talk about this. So, let me give y'all the update from one of the people who called and asked Ernest. This is the person, well, y'all gonna know. This is the dude. It was the week before last week, because last week that was messy. And that person did not give us an update. But last week, the person before did. The one who went on the Beyonce concert with the dude, the ex-lover, what went down. I have an update, and I'm going to read it. And let's see if my predictions are right, because they listened to it. So they said, hi again. I wanted to fill you in. Beyonce was a spirit convocation child, but I feel like I should have gave a little more info about old boy. Woo! Because there's an update. Okay, if y'all remember last time what happened, but let me tell y'all the tea. This is what they said. The whole time we've been kicking it, it's been sexual. So they already been fucking. Okay. News. The first time we hung out, some things happened, but that wasn't the whole situation. There would be times where we would be just chill. But there's been many of the times he's invited me into his bedroom. I think the problem for me is I've always had a crush in the back of my head, but I was fine with the situation. But that's where I messed up, because I've never really built a friendship with someone I laid with. Fast forward to Renaissance. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at something else in my head. Flash forward to Renaissance. Before the show, we was pre-gaming with my friends, and at one point when we were alone, I asked him where we stand. Okay, y'all, this is the update. So remember, he was saying to me he was about to go to this concert and whether or not he should still go with the concert with the boy because of the fact that they had the issues. Well, he did go. He took my advice. I said, don't be an asshole. Go and figure this shit the fuck out. So this is the part where he did. He says that they were pre-gaming with the friends, and at one point when we were alone, I asked him where we stand. And he said he really liked my vibes and said I was a good person and he really just wanted to be friends. And I asked, did that mean friends with no benefits? He said yes, because he could no longer have sex without a reaction being in the relationship. Some shit like that. I asked him what was I just not his type? Because I've seen his ex, nothing alike, very much skinny trade nigga. This is his quote, not mine. I'm reading it direct. He said, skinny trade nigga. And he said he likes hood niggas. And he said he likes, quote, hood niggas I know I shouldn't be messing with, but yeah. I said, so you know what's not good for you, but you continue to repeat the cycle. Child, I read myself. But I said I respect that, and something about it is what it is. I really forget what else, but I said, but I blame the Patron. So, ladies and gentlemen, did I lie? Did I lie? Didn't I tell you this boy was a fuckboy? Didn't I tell you that this boy was going to play games? Didn't I tell you? So listen, you know who you are who sent me this. And I'm happy that you took the time to reflect. And you're a good looking man and you're doing your thing. You know what I'm saying? And if he don't like you and your chocolateness and your thickness, there are plenty of fish in the sea. What it sounds like is that he likes to mess with you because it's fun. He really enjoys you. But he seems to be, I don't know. It seems to be him being very, the way he wrote about trade and these things, it gives colorist, it gives fatphobic, it gives inner homophobia with himself. He's not really there with himself. He enjoys you privately dicking him down in the dark, no pun intended, but he also at the same time wants to mess around with the riffraff. So it seems like, you was really feeling him because he was doing things to make you feel good. But see, this is what I tell people. You admitted it. I appreciate it. You said you never established a real friendship with him. It was just sex. And so, you know what, honestly, based on what he told you and how fucked up he is, I'm happy you maintained your character. I'm happy that you did the right thing in the end. You saw it for what it was. Clearly he's childish. Clearly he's vapid. Clearly he ain't shit and you deserve better. And at the end of the day, you're going to probably do better because that's a lot. And I've been in situations in my past where I dealt with boys like that. That was a boy that you should have just fucked and ducked. I know the feelings were there because the sex made you feel good, but clearly y'all didn't really have a real friendship because based on the stuff he's saying, I can't see someone as smart and as cool as you being really cool with someone like that. So y'all must really liked each other. It was just the sex was just good. Y'all had a sexual connection, but I keep telling people that sexual connections do not lead to anything else. So clearly he said he don't even want to keep fucking with you because he doesn't want a reaction in a relationship. He just want to be friends. But y'all really was never friends because every time y'all were friends, y'all mostly was fucking and getting around. So y'all weren't friends. And to be honest with you, and this is my opinion, I'm just giving you advice because you know this is Ask Ernest. I don't think you need to even be his friend anymore. I think the way that he even described his decisions, he's toxic. And also with everything that you're feeling, you're a real person. It ain't gonna work, okay? I don't like Trey Songz, but y'all just can't be friends, right? You know, y'all really can't be friends. And wish you never did it, okay? Really, wish you never did it. But you said you read yourself. But you know what? It's life. We all go through it. We've all been a bird in our lives. You know, so don't shame yourself for that. Um, for real, for real. You know, because it's not worth it. It's not worth it. So now to this week's Ask Ernest. That was an update. This week's Ask Ernest. Here is a letter. And some of y'all already listened to the podcast, so y'all already know where I'm about to go with this, but I'm going to read it anyway. Let me pull out my Bible. Dear Ernest, I hope all is well. Look like you're having a good time in the Vineyard. Wish I could have went to the Vineyard, given what I just experienced on Thursday. For the first time in my life, I went to dinner in Blanc. My friend, I got to make sure I take names. Y'all love putting people's names. Well, thank you for giving me a tea on who invited you, girl. But I can't read the names. But anywho, let me navigate through it, okay? So they said, I was invited by a group of friends of mine who have gone. Now, let me also add that all the people involved in this story are Black, just for context. And they're all in their like mid-30s, early 40s. So this is what happens. A group of friends of mine who have always gone to scrolling down. That's funny. Going down to dinner in Blanc have always told me that this is the event to go as a young Black person trying to get into the business. Sidebar, I'm not going to put the particular job, but she is somebody that is in the hospitality business. That's a vague enough response. She's in hospitality in that kind of world. But she says that, this would be she says her friend said this would be a good opportunity for her to go. She said they invited me. I came and basically was told that I would need to help accommodate them on bringing chairs, tables, food, etc. She says when she got there, after bringing the tables, after they told her that she was going to be a guest at their table, she says that they brought food, but they didn't have any food for her. I'm not laughing because it's not funny. She says in the end, there was someone else that she bumped into at the event who had food at their table, and she ate dinner with some of them, even though she couldn't sit at their table the whole time because other people were assigned to seats. She said the whole time everyone was worried about it raining. She had got her hair done. She said it wasn't what she thought it was because she expected it to be Black excellence, and instead she saw a Black hot-ass mess and white people that were too drunk to even mention or remember, and a bunch of just weird random things. She put the things in parentheses. She said the area that she was at was a little stiffy, was moist, was very hot outside. She talked about all that kind of stuff. She had all the details. She said after the event, she danced, she partied, she went back to the table, everyone was friendly and everything else. She said she felt some type of way that the friends involved did not have food for her, even though they invited a host her. And she also added, should she go back to dinner in Blanc again? Is it like this all the time? Yada, yada, yada. All right. I've gone twice as media years ago. You can look up the documented history of my experiences at dinner in Blanc and why I don't like dinner in Blanc and whatnot. Also, there are people who I was friends with and dinner in Blanc made me not be friends with them anymore, or they chose not to be friends with me, whatever, because they like shit like that. Here's the thing about it. Like, we're on this theme of like people pretending they're elite and they're not elite. Anyway, we have a lot of like these fake elite type of circles and groups. There are a lot of people who are really invested in that kind of world. And they love that. They love the feeling of being able to say, I'm at this party, I'm at this event, and I'm in this and that. And they like to flash the wealth. It's a flex. And to me, I think it's, again, another one of those faux elite circles and gatherings. Now, Martha's Vineyard, there are some faux folks but there's some rich people. They are really like that. But there are also people who I feel like um, just, I don't know, I think they just, going out to the places where the real, where the real things get slaughtered, you know what I mean? It's just funny when you go back into spaces like that where it's like, this is not that. Like, why are y'all trying to create this experience? Like, there are real all white parties, there's real folks doing that. Why are people mimicking it? And it's okay if you want to just have fun. But the problem is that people just don't know how to have fun without trying to be more than what they are or do more than what fun requires. Like, if you just want people to just have fun and dance and enjoy food and have a good time, that's cool. But the problem is that it can never be that way because everybody has to make it more than what it is in order to feel like it's something special. So it's like, why do people think that fun is basically trying to pretend to be elite rather than simply do it? Like, I mock the fuck out of that shit because I just think it's stupid. I just like, why can't you just go out and just have a good time without it having to be this air of something else? And I just really think, like I said, during a recession, class anxiety is real. Rich people like to hide they're not rich, and people who don't have money like to pretend they're richer than what they are. This is what happens in this type of climate. And it always happens, but I feel like there's an uptick in fuckery when we get into situations like economic, disparity on a national scale. So like there's that fear of a recession coming, right? And so I feel like when there's those times, right, we'll see that whole culture of like they were talking about, minimalist, luxury, like minimal luxury, like artists and celebrities are now, not wearing too much jewelry and being gaunt. Like now they're, hiding their logos and brands. They don't want people to know because they want to blend in. What the fuck is that, right? If you're rich, you can never fucking blend in. If you really think that fashion is a way to blend in, then you're stupid, okay? The way that you will never blend in is that where do your kids go? Because the way you can blend in is put your kids in a public school, okay? Go live in Kensington, have dinner in Blanc in Kensington, and then let me know, okay, when you're really serious about minimal. Like, this is a fashion aesthetic. This is not a cultural lifestyle. These motherfuckers are still going on their yachts. They're still going to Martha's Vineyard. They're still going to the Hamptons. They're still going where they're going to go. I don't know what y'all talking about. These are dumbass articles, right? There was a New York Times piece about this. Honestly, it's a fashion thing. It's not actually a lifestyle thing. Because if you really want to be minimalist or whatever in your luxury, then you would actually not even indulge in such shit. But we're seeing that. And so when I look at not Martha's, but I look at Florian Slip. When I look at Dinner and Blanc, I think what makes Dinner and Blanc disgusting is the fact that there are people who really think participating in it makes them something special. What in the fuck did you achieve? Like, I can see going to the Ivy League, even though that is becoming less and less structural because of the Nepo babies that get in there, right? But like, what merit comes with going to Dinner and Blanc? What does it mean? It means, somebody got in the lottery, right? Got lucky to participate in a lottery where they had to spend their own money to get their own tables, to get their own food, to wear all white. And then they invited other people that could pay that money to do it every fucking year. And then you just did it. That's it. Like, it's not like this thing. Like, oh my God. Like, these people really think it. First of all, dinner block is not that expensive. It's just stupid. It's a stupid thing to do. It's really not that expensive. I mean, honestly, I think they charge like a $150 entry fee or some shit. It's like, when in a larger scheme of things, this is a very not expensive thing. The problem is that the people who participate in it are somehow drunken on this idea that it's more than what it is, and so they feel like they're special because they participate in it. But in true nature, true form, it's just a stupid dinner party that you could do in your own backyard, or you could do with your own friends, and you honestly wouldn't have to do all the other upkeep and other maintenance. Because there's parties out there where you don't have to do all that. You just go. But they're literally making a mockery because they're asking you to pay to basically pretend you're something you're not. And there are some people who have extreme class anxiety that feel like they need to be a part of that because they think it means something more than what it really means. Also, maybe this might be a little bit of a far stretch. To the situation about your friend and the food, I'm assuming she assumed that you knew how it goes down, and that's why she left you hungry. To be quite honest, that's tacky. Not for you, but for her. If you was the guest and she got you to come, if I told my people they're a guest at my house, I'm feeding them. I got something for y'all to eat. I got something for y'all to drink. If I don't got no food in my house, which is never the case. But if I had no food in my house and I had nothing to drink and I wasn't feeling the mood to host, you can't come over. In my head, I wouldn't invite you. Because either A, I don't have the things. And also, it's just Southern hospitality. Maybe, I don't know what you East Coasters be doing. Some of y'all on some other shit, because I don't know what the hell this girl was doing. But like, if you invite somebody over your house, you better have something for them to eat and drink. And if you don't have anything for them to eat or drink, don't invite nobody over your house. Don't do that. Don't be that person. You know? It's just tacky. We're grown. Okay? You better have some crackers and some cheese on that table. Or you better have something for them to drink. You better have something. You know, like Denzel Washington, I'm walking out of there with something. I just don't believe in that. Like, if you invite somebody over your house, you better have something to drink. You better have something to eat. And if you don't have the ability to host, then don't bring nobody over your house. Period. Period. So, for them to invite you and not even inform you about the situation, that to me is fucked up. Especially if they had you come in to help them with their table and their chairs, and then all of a sudden they got this food out and they're looking at you like well, why would one person, I ain't trying to stir the pot, but I'm gonna be real. Why would you, if you didn't come with a date and it was just you, why would you be coming with your own food by yourself? You might need to reevaluate what the word friend mean if this is a friend or somebody. Second of all, you met above this the people you knew. Of course, I'm not surprised at that. But one of the things that I'm also over now, and I think is I'm getting the older I get, the better. Nobody wants anyone to be networking with them or networking at them when they're at an event of leisure and pleasure. That is something I think is hella tacky. A lot of people are on this networking culture kind of shit. Honestly, you sound like the motherfucker who's a salesman who don't have class. Here's how I normally do. If I see a person at an event that I know and I like, if they come to me, they're nice to me, cool, we know each other. If we know each other, it's different. But if we don't know each other that well, one thing you're not going to do is talk my head off about something that has nothing to do with dinner. I've gotten to a point where me and Mr. Johnson go out to dinner and we're on a date or we're doing what we're doing or whatever the case is. I don't have the energy or the patience for someone to be disrespectful and talk my head down. Let me tell you something. I'm about to say something, but I need to make the point clear. When you see people out and you say, I don't mean to interrupt you, don't fucking interrupt them. Just actually don't interrupt them at all. If you're going to say you don't mean to interrupt. Because when you say you don't mean to interrupt, you are interrupting, which means that you're interrupting. So let's just get that out the way. If whatever you're saying, if you can't, listen, I know how important it is for people to meet people and to, whatever. I do it all the time. But I keep it cute. If somebody I recognize someone in the space, out of common courtesy, I'm going to say, hey, nice to see you. How you doing? Good. Keep it moving. They don't want to talk to you that long. I promise you they don't. They really don't. Because you wasn't on the schedule. You wasn't their plan. So how are you going to derail them from their plans? Meaning that they're with family, they're with friends, they're doing whatever. You don't derail them. It's called etiquette. And there's a lot of these influencers. I go to some of these media events. These influencers have no tact, no manners, no class. These hyperactive white girls who will go up in situations. So I'm going to put something in example. So I have a friends group. We go out to some stuff, and there's one boy in the group. We cool. Everything all good. And it's always these white women, these people. They come up to him every time and want to talk his head out. And I be looking at them like, y'all don't see that this person is having a black time with his friends. And he really was not here to talk to y'all. But this person, because they're too nice for their own good, and I be telling them about being too nice, they can't help to establish the boundary to tell the person. And so that was in the time, and beginning in our gatherings, I would be like, maybe I should, help them with it. But now I've realized that they just can't help. But they're getting better. They're trying to get better. But all I'm saying to people is, if you're a person that see a person you recognize, don't be taking up too much of their time, especially when you see them with friends, And to the friends who be in these situations, look at your clock. and tell these people, listen, bye. I've been practicing that lately. I'm not when I go to the events, I'm with my friends. I'm not about to sit up and abandon my friends for people who I don't already mix and mingle with. I'm just not doing it. A good example of that was, this past weekend, Mr. Johnson and I and a couple of friends, we went to the ferry. We did the Delaware Riverfront ferry ride, and it was very pretty. It was a nice trip. It was a nice boat ride experience. It was really good. It was really fun, and it was a nice amount of time that we had out, and it was worth the trip. So I'm definitely would love to go there again. It was just a good opportunity to just check out some water. It was a cute little ferry ride. It was fun. We saw the water and we was on the boat and we was having a good time. Um, but I was with a group of friends of mine that I knew, and there were some people that want to come up to me and just be like, "Oh, congrats on your position at Eater." I was like, "Oh, thank you." But some of these people want to have a whole conversation. I'm like, "Listen, I didn't do this to them. I didn't, I was just kind of like, oh, thank you. Well, I'm with my friends. I was, oh, sometimes you gotta make people feel that. Because some people will like really just talk your head out off. They will really not consider that you're out with a bunch of friends, and this is not the time to do all that. And so we all have those experiences, but I think this year, manners in particular have been something that's stuck with me. It's just etiquette and things. That just because you can do something doesn't mean you should always do it. Just because you can just simply, do or say something don't mean that you should. And we're in a society nowadays where I think people don't oftentimes consider that just because they're open to doing something different don't mean that you should be inconsiderate to the time that you have with your friends. So if I make dinner with my friends, if I make a dinner date or a trip, that's my people, and I'm focused on them and them only. And I think when I went to the Vineyard this weekend, it really hit me about that, like just not being that person that don't know how to detach. It's one thing, you get a fan, come up, get a selfie, whatever. But just people that want to now make plans with you. It's like, if you couldn't make plans with me all the time, don't do it on my quiet time with my friends and my family or just myself. So I hear you. What I say to you about Dinner and Blanc is, girl, you ain't missing nothing. As you can see, what you saw is what it is every year. There are people that love it for whatever reasons, and there's people that hate it, and I'm one of those people. And honestly, if you in the middle, on my end, there's better parties out here, girl. Just saying. So, movies. I have nothing much to say about movies this week. I mean, movies. I mean, it's been the box office has been really weird. It's been like, okay, a couple of big epic blockbusters and a bunch of movies that we're just never gonna remember or care about. So I'm ready for fall. I'm ready for Oscar season, y'all. I'm ready for the big fall movies coming out. I'm ready for some movies that's coming out later this fall. I'm ready for Oscar season already. I'm really excited about Oscar season. That's where my head is at. Music. Okay, Taylor is coming out with 1989 Taylor's edition. She is pushing through with these music releases, child. She's not playing. I guess she's ready for Reputation to come out next year and keep it moving. But she is. It's coming. The 1989 is people are already hype about the new album. It's her album, but it's coming with 5 new vault tracks, which everyone's talking about. The new album is supposed to be coming out. It's a beautiful cover. And honestly, I wasn't really crazy about Speak Now that much, but people can pre-order the album. People are talking about what variations will be coming out, but it is coming out October 27th, 2023, which is in October, which is not too far from now. So people are trying to figure out what will be the next re-recorded video. And a lot of people there's only 2 re-recordings left. She done breezed through 4 re-recordings, y'all. She done already taken care of Fearless. She's done already taken care of Red. Speak Now is done. 1989 is coming out in October. What's left is Self-Titled and Reputation. So people are trying to figure out. People think that Reputation is going to be the next re-recording, which would be dope, which makes sense. However, Taylor Swift, which is her self-titled album, her first album, I wonder if she's going to re-record that album, because to be quite honest, it's going to be hard for her to re-record the album without it sounding like herself. But maybe she will find some way. I would imagine that she would have tried to do that album first. But I feel like she's going about her highest selling albums, her big colossal albums before she goes there. But it's genius. And I did like 1989, and I cannot wait to see it come out. Okay, October 27th is coming out. And who would have ever thought people could be excited about an album? But each of these albums are hitting number one and going platinum. So the fans love it. Now, things that people are not crazy about. MTV Video Music Awards nominations came out. The awards are going to be in September. The VMAs. Are we excited? Not excited? Honestly, who cares? I don't know. I wasn't excited about this year's lineup. A lot of music videos. I mean, I watch music videos, but like, it just seems to be so, ugh. I feel like, in my opinion, I have to say in my opinion, and allegedly, but I feel like the VMAs is like payola. I feel like people are paying for the nominations. I feel like record labels are like advertising new albums. It's not the thing it used to be. I just feel like it's a very pay to play. I feel like it's diminished its brand. The VMAs usually have so much like flavor. And I don't know, maybe since after Beyonce stopped performing there, that it's lost its luster. And honestly, the nominations this year are just not that stellar. They're just not. I mean, every it's like Doja Cat. Beyonce's nominated for Artist of the Year. Doja Cat. Now they got Song of the Year. Doja Cat. Let me her. It's who else is in the nominations? Nicki Minaj is nominated for Video of the Year for Super Freaky Girl, and I'm just kind of like, really, like, we know where that came from. But like, none of these nominations are that important to me. I'm just not really hype about them. Also, Love and Hip Hop, Jasmine's Cabaret. Love and Hip Hop, still going strong. Love and Hip Hop Miami is coming this week. They're coming back. So I'm super excited about Miami. There's been a lot going on in Miami. And it seems like it's going to be even more drama. Looking forward to that. Saw the long trailer, trying to figure out what's going on there with some of the people that's coming back. As far as good TV goes, this show I highly recommend. Oh my God. Jury Duty. Now, some of y'all heard about this. It's got 4 Emmy nominations, including Best Comedy. And it is hilarious. There's like 7 episodes, 30 minutes apiece. You can watch it on Freevee or Amazon Prime. As we all know, the Emmys have been officially scheduled to come in early January. The primetime Emmys are going to now happen in January. They're hoping the strike will get resolved, but it will happen in the middle of the Golden Globes. Oscar nominations will come out around that time, and also before the SAG Awards. It's very in the middle of a lot of moving pieces. So a lot of award shows are going to be happening. Okay, but I'm super excited. I'm super excited about this. Like, I am like thrilled to see how this plays out. What I'm hearing about the show is so much that's going on. But yeah, it's a lot going on. But yeah, the Emmys is apparently the primetime is coming in. But back to Jury Duty. What's great about this show, and I don't want to say too much about it, but it's like the whole show, everybody on the show are actors except for one guy who believes he's actually going through jury duty. He is under the impression that he's a part of a reality show. So everybody who he's interacting with, he thinks it's like a mockery of a reality show. Everybody on the show are actors except for him. He's the unpredictable person. He's like the person that thinks he's on a reality show. So the camera's got him thinking it's a reality show, but it's actually a TV show that is actually a sitcom and a comedy where everybody's also actors except for him. He is not aware that these people are all acting and that they're not in the same shoes as him. And so everything else is scripted except for him. And so this is all like a real thing. So the lead character is not an actor. He's a regular guy. But he's thinking he's a part of a show, a reality show. But everybody else is acting. And there's like one cameo appearance by James Martin, who was like the celebrity who thinks he's on jury duty with. And it's a fun show. And I won't tell the rest, but it's worth watching. It's 7 episodes. It's less than 30 minutes. It's an easy breezy binge. And we enjoyed it very well. Love the show so much. And next week, what I have coming up, I have a lot coming up this week. There's some new restaurant tastings I'm going to be partaking in. You know, I love some new restaurants. And the fun part about next week is the Lit Brothers are on a boys trip. We're going to be in Baltimore, Maryland next weekend for a couple of days. I think Friday, Saturday, Sunday. named after my favorite restaurant, but we'll be there in Baltimore. We don't need recommendations because we have a full itinerary of some hot spots in Baltimore. It's going to be lit. No, I don't have time to meet you and hang out with you or your cousin who knows who I am. No, I can't meet family relatives, but I am going to have a great time. And if you see me somewhere and bump into me, give a holla. Not a conversation, but a holla. And I'm so excited. No, I'm really excited about Baltimore. I've told y'all Baltimore and I've been in Baltimore like 2 times already. I've been to Baltimore for my book signing, for a surprise engagement. Looking forward to being in Joe's town. I call it Joe's town, rather than Georgetown, Joe's town. To see what's going on. But I'm excited and I'm gonna tell you all about it, and there might be some fun other surprises to come along the trip. But as always, be well. Ernestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Ernestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.